V Nation. Oh boy, tough day. I can't wait to chop it up with you and the rest of the gang.
Yeah.
How are you?
I'm doing as good as I can be after that shellacking we saw from the Thunder versus the versus the Knicks. At least the Giants, they were able to do what they had to do and get the dub. But I was too busy focused on the Knicks game. I really couldn't enjoy what the Giants have been doing. But I'll catch them on a rewatch. But Foxy, salute to the chat. Salute to everybody. We appreciate you tuning in.
They're saying no sound. Oh, no. Oh, sounds all good now.
Yeah,
okay.
Sounds good. Salute to John Talento. Salute to JJ, Geraldine MacGyver. Thank you all for tuning in. I know it's been a rough Sunday, especially after watching what the Knicks did at 12 noon. So we'll jump into it, but we appreciate you tuning in. We've already got 20 in the chat, 8 likes. Thank you guys. So just make sure you smash that like button. We greatly appreciate it. So Foxy, oh man, Knicks lose 145 to 135, and there were some positive takeaways, I guess, from the game. But for the most part, you just looked and saw how the team really had no answer for SGA and no answer for anybody else at that point. SGA, he went off. Kitty, he had a triple double. So what were some of the things that you saw from the early onset in that first quarter? Because in the first quarter, the Knicks did come out and get a franchise record, right? What did we score? 48 points in that first quarter?
Exactly.
But then we allowed the Thunder to just follow it up with their own 40-point quarter. So in that first quarter, how did you feel initially?
Well, I'll share with the SV Nation. You and I talked during the game, and the game, even though they had a 48 point first quarter, it was like 3 minutes in the game, and Keith and we were saying, like, Jesus, man, there's absolutely no resistance to OKC getting to the hole. They're just going at will, getting to the hole, and then we're saying, oh my God, man, they're taking every shot's uncontested. What's going on here? So already, even though we were lightening up on offense, my brain and my belly was saying, oh, this ain't going to end pretty. They're happening now, but we have all the signs that this is going to come crashing down with this defense.
Yeah, well, call me naive because I was hyped during that first quarter. You know, I saw the guys give a little bit effort offensively. At least I knew there was some trouble, especially defensively, because we scored 48, but we also gave up 36 in that first quarter. So the fact that we were giving up a lot of points was troubling. But I thought the Knicks offensively were clicking on all and firing on all cylinders. I didn't expect us to start to sputter after that first quarter. And not only did we give a 40-point quarter in the second quarter, we also gave up 40 points in the third quarter. So, I mean, the defense was just abysmal. And what's crazy is we have a coach that's supposed to be defensive minded. And to see the team give that lackluster effort on the defensive end, I think is extremely troubling, especially seeing that we're already, a few games into the season. And we should expect this team to start to gel a little bit. So for them to still have a lot of miscommunication and missed rotations defensively is going to be, troubling moving forward.
Yeah, we after the embarrassing loss to the Nets, no energy. A lot of people were happy with the Detroit win, but a lot of us behind the scenes, like, Jesus, this is a really bad team, and we just squeaked by them. Come on, what's going to happen? And we got whooped today on our home court. So, you and I were sleep deprived because we stayed up late last night. You and I watching UFC, and it was like, damn, I could have got some extra sleep rather than watch this shit.
I hear you on that one. Definitely had to get up early to watch that, to watch the game. I was up by like 10 in order to prepare, make sure I was situated in order to, have a conversation today on the live stream. So we did get a super chat from Marshmallow. We appreciate your support. You're always tuned in and contributing to the live stream. We greatly appreciate it. He says, I'm glad our front office won't tank. We could be as bad as the Thunder otherwise. Well, I sense a little bit of sarcasm in your super chat, and I totally agree with you. You look at the Oklahoma City Thunder, they're supposed to be rebuilding, and they're beating the brakes off a New York Knicks team that's supposed to be competing for something. We don't know exactly what they're competing for, but they're supposed to be competing for something. And it didn't look like that those were the roles of each team out there on the court tonight. The Thunder, they just looked like the better team. They looked like they were more engaged. They looked like they wanted it more. And I think that's extremely troubling for the Knicks moving forward. And you have to look at the head coach, and you also have to look at the quote-unquote star player in Julius Randle. I don't think he had a great game today. I think defensively, he's continued to be an issue. And I think if we continue to, trot out this Randle-centric offense, it's not going to bode well for this squad. So Foxy, looking at Julius Randle and at the head coach, what were some of the things you saw in this game?
Randle is a stat sheet guy, but you watch the game and this guy, he doesn't play winning basketball. There was one play multiple plays of the same thing that I was screaming, that at the top of the key, Brunson has the ball, big man setting a pick, and Randle just runs up behind him. Friggin' Lou Dort right there, killing any spacing so he's like, give me the ball, Jalen, give me the ball. It was like, you're killing his spacing. What the hell are you doing? Go in your rotation. And it's like, those are the things that don't show up in box scores, but you're like, this is, and like we said, whether it was Brooklyn, Tibbs has lost his team already, man. We're 13 games in, and the effort, the lack of consistent effort. If you have to bench RJ, the golden child, and you're playing a guy like Fournier 20 minutes, scoring 0 points, and excuse me. You and I are talking, and it's almost like Tibbs heard us for saying, "Why the hell isn't Grimes in there?" Hey, Foxy, Grimes is going in. Wow, he must have heard us. Yeah. He was gone. It was a blink, and he was taken out. So it's like, is his foot sore? But why the hell isn't he playing some minutes, man? So do something. I don't care what you do. Hell, at this point, put in Trevor Keels. Put in somebody who's going to make an effort. I mean, this is not worth our time.
I was calling for Deuce or V or something. Put somebody in. I don't know why Evan Fournier was out there, especially late in that fourth quarter. I'm like, he's giving you nothing offensively. We already know he's letting everybody into the paint with free will, defensively. So why exactly was he the one that's out there? I was clamoring for Grimes. I know Grimes is quote unquote situational, but at that point, you have this team trying to mount a quote unquote comeback in that fourth quarter. Why wouldn't you have a guy like Quentin Grimes out there who plays better defense than Fournier? And even if, Grimes couldn't make a shot, Evan Fournier wasn't making shots either. So at least you're going to get the benefit of a better defender out there with a Quentin Grimes as opposed to Evan Fournier playing big minutes in that, third quarter into the fourth quarter. So to me, that was a definite mistake, I think, on Tibbs' part. And also, you mentioned, Julius Randle and some of the boneheaded plays he does out there on the court. There's footage, I shared it with JD. He did me a solid, put it out on Twitter and gave me a shout out. So appreciate it. Shout out to you, JD. Really appreciate that.
Get out, JD.
Yeah, he put the video out there. You saw Cam frustrated. He was able to poke the ball free. Julius Randle got the ball, and instead of trying to push the ball up the court and try to up the pace and try to get some easy points out there, he decides to just meander up the court and not try to push the ball up. So you saw the frustration in Cam Reddish, and not only that, he could have pushed the ball up to Cam, let Cam bring it up, and Cam probably would have saw Obi. No, it wasn't Obi. I think it was either Grimes or I'm not sure who was out there in the corner, but he was another person ahead of him that he could have got the ball to, and I think that just shows what Randle has been doing, kind of stagnating this offense at times. And of course, the offense really wasn't, I think, the major issue. You saw we were able to score 135 points, but that just shows you how sometimes, the lackluster performance from Julius Randle can kind of bring down the energy of the team, which I think can also show itself out there on the defensive end, especially when he's not giving much effort out there defensively.
Yeah, Hey, he's a saboteur. There was a play where the ball went to Julius. They were moving the ball around the horn. The ball went to Julius, like in the left corner three spot. He had the shot, but he waited for a second, and then he kicked it. Jalen was all alone. But he waited, then he got it to Jalen, and the player was on him again. So he didn't get his shot. And it was all for not necessary. It was like totally selfish or totally low IQ. I don't know what the hell it was, but it's like I don't know any player that want to play with this guy, man. This guy, like I said, it reminds me of some players a long time ago that after the game, they just want to see what they got. So, yeah, I got 20 points. I got 10 rebounds. I got almost 5 assists. He only had 3, but as long as he gets his stats, but he kills a team. There's not a team. You can't play winning basketball with Julius Randle.
And it's very telling, especially listening to what Jalen Brunson said after the victory against Detroit, saying we got to stick together, we got to be a team, et cetera, et cetera. I think that's pointing at, Julius Randle and some of the things he might be doing behind the scenes, ruffling some feathers, because we expected Jalen Brunson to be the one bringing up the ball majority of the time, or at least another one of the guards. But we're still seeing Julius Randle time and time again, push the ball up at his own pace and, kind of stagnate things occasionally. So that's something I hope was not going to be an issue this season, but we're seeing again it's raising its ugly head.
Yeah, we can't ask. Hey, I'm happy with Jalen. Hey, we knew the issues being a 6'1" guard on defense, but we were hoping that there was going to first of all be a Mitch there after a $60 million contract to have a rim protector, because iHeart is anybody that says iHeart, at the beginning of the season, there's some people that were saying iHeart was a defensive guy. Jesus Christ, man. What are you watching? This guy is, everybody loves his hustle and everything else, but come on, the guy, I said it early in the season. It's like, we should have kept Luke Cornett. What the hell did we need a few seasons ago? He's shooting 33% from 3, not this clown shooting 16% that keeps looking at the ref for a foul. It's like, you made a foul, you idiot. Why do you keep reaching in and doing these stupid plays? So he's strictly a backup center. We have nothing. We have no second line of defense. Once we have no point of, no defense on the point of attack. They just, like we said earlier, they were just going to the hole like nothing, and there was nobody to deter them once they got past the first line of defense. So it was like, this is really a bad product that they put on the court, and also from a roster construction that they're just shout out to George. Our guy is a little under the weather. I think he has a cold or something like that. But we were talking the other day about roster construction, and I said they're slow. This team, they're small. They don't have length, especially thank God we're playing Cam, but we're soft. This is a soft team, man. Shooting, we can't shoot, and we're selfish. So this team needs to be blown up from the front office to the coach to the players, man, because there's just anybody that thinks that another coach is going to come in and we make one move or another move that it's going to all of a sudden make us a championship caliber team. I took a lot of grief for it's only 12 games in, but people saying, Foxy, you're so freaking negative. And it's like, no. I do a lot of, you and I work hard behind the scenes analyzing. We were saying our professional, our opinion of what this team's going to do. It wasn't hating. And now it's like saying, no, see, we knew what the hell we were talking about from day one. It was never about negativity. These are all young men, and I wish they do well. But if you're not trying, get the hell out of here. I could take, a guy, I'm New York all the way, that if I try my hardest and I get beat, I could deal with it. But I can't deal beating myself, man. And this team beats itself. It's just crazy. And coming into the game, this season, the Knicks are first in the league in second quarter points and 30th in the league in fourth quarter points. That's a recipe for not winning, man. And nothing, and most of all, there's no development. We were terrible last year in third and fourth quarter and still haven't done anything from there.
Yeah, one thing you mentioned that I think was pretty interesting is the team is selfish. You look at, or not look at, but Clyde did something pretty interesting when he was kind of giving some praise to the Oklahoma City Thunder. He said, they're very unselfish, and I think he mentioned that because if you look at the Knicks, a lot of the plays out there, not a lot, but some of the plays from a few players out there can be looked at as, or viewed as selfish. For example, we keep harping on Julius Randle, but there was a play, I believe in the second or third quarter, he ended up, he was in the post. He gave it up to somebody that was in the corner three, and Cam started to come over to try and see if he can get open to get the ball. And instead of Julius Randle kind of clearing out and going to the other side of the court, he cut right over to the wing and came right in front of Cam. And I'm like, yo, Julius, get out the way. You couldn't score. You gave it up. Now let the ball move and see if somebody else can get a better look. And I think it's plays like that kind of scream at the dysfunction that we're seeing with this New York Knicks team. And it all starts from the top. So you look at Tom Thibodeau, and you also look at the front office for extending Julius Randle and kind of giving him that cachet that he can kind of move the way he's moving, and also Tibbs for being an enabler. We were talking about that all year last year. Tibbs continues to enable Julius Randle. We saw today R.J. Barrett got benched, but Julius Randle I think was playing great, especially with the fact that Obi was a real big catalyst in that pseudo comeback we tried to mount late in that fourth, and he ended up getting benched. We didn't even see Tibbs try to go with the small ball rotation to see if that would have given us some more life, especially seeing that we weren't guarding the paint well anyway when we had the bigs in there. At least go small ball, see if we can be a little bit better at defending the three. So I think a lot of it stems from Tibbs, a lot of it stems from Julius Randle, but we also got to make sure we don't not hold the front office accountable as well.
Yeah, and the pain of saying, oh man, Julius 4-year contract's kicking in. Oh man, RJ's contract's going to be kicking in. Where we have a noose around our neck, man. We're strangled. There's nothing that we can freaking do with these freaking contracts with these our two players. Who the hell would want them in the first place? And I said it before, everyone, Danny Ainge didn't want to trade because he hates the Knicks. No, Danny Ainge didn't do the trade because he's an experienced talent evaluator. And he's like, nah, man, the RJ, Obi, Mitch, hell, they ain't going to get any better. They're at their ceilings.
I still got some faith in RJ. I think RJ can be a solid player, especially if he's able to operate.
A solid role player, but he's a number 3 pick.
True. I hear you on that one, but I think I just want to see what RJ can do when he's not behind, a Brunson and a Julius Randle. We expected RJ to be elevated a little bit, but it still looked like he's third fiddle. So I'm still holding out hope on RJ. I think RJ can be a player that can contribute. Also, I would like to see RJ a little bit more with Cam, and I would have liked to see if he would have subbed RJ in there to close the game when it was Quick and Cam out there. I would have liked to see those three together just to see what they would be able to do. So with RJ, the jury is still out for me when it comes to RJ. I still think he can be a solid player in this league, but I'm done with Julius Randle. I would hope he can, play better, help us get some wins, and then we can ship him out here, during the trade deadline. I was thinking that's the way we were going to go with the first couple of games, but everything has gone downhill from there. And at this point, it should be the interim Raj, because with the way the guys have been playing, with the lack of hustle, lack of effort that we've seen, not only in this game, but in the Nets game and also against the Hawks, at some point, the front office is going to have to do something to at least, make a move and hope that we can get some more respectable basketball being played out there, especially in the Garden. That type of effort should not be given in front of the home fans.
No, I was hoping Dolan was there; they could see it. It's funny. I said to my wife, I said, "We're cursed. This franchise cursed." I said, "Chicago with the number 3 pick got Michael Jordan, and the New York Knicks got RJ freaking Barrett. We're freaking cursed at the number 3 pick. How does one team get one of the great players and we get the turtle, man? The slowest player I've ever freaking seen at number 3.
Yeah, it sucks, especially you look at that draft who went 1, 2, and 4. But I'm still holding out hope for RJ. RJ has shown some things. He's fresh off a 30-point game. So, it's definitely a poor show when he's only 2 of 10. Let me put the stats back up. We haven't really jumped into the stats much. RJ, he was 2 of 10 from the field, 0 of 2 from the 3-point line. Good for 4 points, 1 steal, 1 rebound. And I think he was the only starter that didn't have double digits, and that's for both teams.
Yeah. Hey, being a math guy, it came down to this. Both teams took 31 threes today. They were 17 of 31. We were 10 of 31. That's 7 threes. That's 21 points. Bingo, catnip. Game over.
Yep.
You can, a 21-point difference. How do you overcome that, man?
Especially with the shooting efficiency. What did they shoot? 60-something% from the field? Yeah, 62.5% from the field, and they shot
54. We'll round it off for them. 55%, man.
Yeah, and they also had the most talented player on the court, so they had everything going for them in this game. Shooting efficiency had Shy. He was going off. Let's get into Shy's stats. Let me put that on screen. I know this is probably. It feels like a knife in the back almost. We got cooked by Donovan Mitchell, a player we could have had, and now we ended up getting cooked by SGA, a player that Knicks fans have been clamoring for ever since we decided to go elsewhere in terms of drafting. We drafted Knox over him, right?
Yes, but we also drafted Knox ahead of SGA and Miles Bridges.
Well, Miles Bridges right now, you won't complain too much, especially with what he's going on his legal issues. But SGA definitely.
A shout out to Tommy Beer coming into the game today. The Knicks had given up 247 wide open 3-pointers, which means no defender within 6 feet of the shooter. New York is only one of 2 teams allowing more than 20 wide open threes per game. So you and I, just a couple of minutes into the game behind the scenes, were like, what the hell are they doing? No, they're going to the hole with no, uncontested, and they're shooting uncontested. What is this defense doing?
Yeah, so where is the defenders, right? If they're not in the paint stopping them from penetrating, and they're not at the 3-point line trying to contest, they must be sitting right next to us watching the game, because they definitely are sure weren't playing in it.
Yeah, and nothing's better than when a guy makes a bonehead play and he looks at his other teammates looking at him like, what'd you do? And you're like, what do you mean, what did they do? You did it. Randle did that today. RJ did that today. It's like, oh, man, they're clowns.
All right, so looking at what the Oklahoma City Thunder did, you see SGA, he was 13 of 22 from the field, 2 of 3 from the 3-point line, 9 of 10 from the charity stripe. That's good for 37 points, 8 assists, 5 rebounds. Also had 3 steals to go along with 2 blocks. Did have the 6 turnovers. I think the Oklahoma City Thunder had 19 turnovers to our 13, if I'm not mistaken. So
and Cam had a lot to do with that.
Yes, Cam. We'll get it to Cam. Cam had himself a hell of a game, and I think that was probably one of the biggest, if not the only, bright spots for this game. The way Cam played, late in that game, he was able to disrupt Shy. He was able to get some strips, even got a block. So solid performance from Cam defensively. One of the few Knicks that actually, played some solid defense throughout the game. Also looking at this squad, look at what Josh Giddey did. He had a triple-double for 24 points, 12 assists and 10 rebounds. He was 10 of 14 from the field, 2 of 3 from the 3-point line, and 2 of 2 from the charity stripe. And then we had the third player in the big three was Lou Dort. He had 24 points, 3 rebounds. He shot 8 of 11 from the field, 2 of 5 from the 3-point line, and he was again 6 of 6, 100% from the free throw line. So Oklahoma City Thunder, they did what they had to do to come out with the win. I mean, they gave up 135 points, but they were extremely efficient offensively. And I think they moved the ball with great precision, even though they had a bunch of turnovers. I'm not going front, but they're a young team. You expect them to have some boneheaded mistakes and things like that. So you look at some of the young talent that they have on that squad and how they've been able to play over the last 3 games. I think they've gotten over 120, 130 points in their last 3 games. So their offense is starting to click, and it seems like the New York Knicks just happened to be inside of that, in front of that freight train, apparently.
Yeah, and they have a couple players we didn't see a lot of minutes of. Trey Mann, Jalen Williams. They have some real nice young talent on that team that didn't even get burned today. And obviously they have Chet Holmgren that's not playing this year. So, and they have God knows how many draft picks. So it's like, so when we look at that and we look at the Orlandos and all these other teams, we're like, they're young, they have fantastic young talent. They got draft choices. What are the Knicks going to do in the future?
That remains to be seen, Foxy. That remains to be seen. Another young player I liked on the Thunder too, Isaiah Joe. I actually had wanted us to draft him. What was it? I believe 3 years ago.
Yeah, very good shooter.
Very nice shooter. Yeah, he's just a little frail. Got to bulk up a little bit, but I like him.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's go back to the Knicks post. The Knicks Box score. All right, so looking at Jalen Brunson, he played 24 minutes, 17 points, 5 of 9 from the field, 0-2 from the three-point line, 7-7 from the charity stripe. Ended the game with, 17 points, 7 assists, 3 steals, but he was minus 20 for the game. So, Foxy, I know you're a fan of Brunson. How did you feel about his performance today?
Like I said, hey, if they're sabotaging his, he only had 1 turnover, so it's a 7-to-1 ratio of assist to turnover. He can't do it himself. He has to have shooters around him. He has to have spacing around him. Nobody helps this poor guy. So I don't put any blame on him. And like we said, he's a talented guy, but he's not a magician, man. He can't do anything. He's going to help Randle, get the hell out of here. I was laughing my ass off. Thank God for Clyde. Before the game, did you see Randle meditating?
Yeah, I was watching it. I'm like, they put the weirdest stuff on MSG now. First they're talking about Rose losing weight. Now we're looking at Randle meditate. I'm like, what the hell?
With his meditating consultant.
Yeah, right.
So Clyde was making fun of saying, basically saying today's athletes are so spoiled. I had to wrap my own feet. There was nothing in the off season, and these spoiled brats, man, look at them. So hey, I don't mean anything speculating, but I said to myself a number of games ago, I think he's on anti-anxiety medication this season, Randle, because we were down by 15. He missed a foul shot, and he was smiling. I'm like, you got to be high to be laughing if you're down by 15 and you miss a damn foul shot. And he's just a roller coaster. If you watch the game like today, the minute the final horn sounded, he just walked off the court. Just, the other players talked, or a couple of the players looked at each other. He's so separate from the rest of the team. He just walked off, and it's like, this is the monster you created, you idiots. But the worst part was you didn't learn from the Julius thing. If you learned from Julius, you should have waited a year to let him earn it 2 years in a row before signing him. What you didn't learn that lesson. So what did you do? You signed freaking RJ. So we're going to go through the same thing with RJ.
Yeah, I'm a fan of Brunson, but I wouldn't say he's not accountable, because defensively he has been targeted, and he's been somebody that I think teams have been able to get easy penetration off of if they were to attack him. My only thing is, though, I don't understand, we can't have Brunson and Fournier out there together when they're, both lacking, I guess, defensively. But to pick to pick Fournier over Brunson, though, to have Fournier out there late in those minutes instead of Jalen Brunson, I think that was kind of puzzling. I would have probably tried to put Quick out there some more with Brunson and Cam if you weren't going to go with RJ, as opposed to having Fournier play as many minutes as he did in that fourth quarter. So Brunson, solid. Definitely won't put the big blame on him, but he definitely has some blame in this. It's if Cam is playing solid defense, and there's at least another player or two playing solid defense out there on the court with him, we're not going to be giving up 145 points. There must have been a whole bunch of poor defense, people missing assignments and things like that for us to put ourselves in that big of a hole where we're allowing teams to score 145. I mean, they scored 36 points in the first, 43 points in the second. They matched that again in the third, and then finally in the fourth quarter, we finally came alive at least a little bit on defense to kind of, stop them somewhat. So,
well, but if we had a real basketball front office rather than a freaking agent, it was bad enough we passed on Halliburton. But then, but a team like Indiana trades for him last year. Why didn't we get Halliburton in the trade?
Because then we're saying, Randle stunk up the joint. Who's going to trade Halliburton for Randle?
Then trade RJ, do something, but just saying, hey, I want to put the pieces. So what you're saying about Brunson's 100% right. Then why didn't you go full speed to get DeJounte Murray? So if Atlanta was able to get Murray, why couldn't we have done something to say, you know what? Defense wins championships. Let's look at this roster construction. Let's get a point guard that is not only a solid player, but a defense on defense, man, that is going to be, has great, wingspan in the passing lanes. They're going to be disruptive. They're going to walk. Every game is going to be 8 or 9 assists from these guys. I think he had 15 assists yesterday, Halliburton, something like that.
It's killing for me in fantasy. Knicks didn't get him, but I did.
Well, thank God for you, but so why I'm saying this front office, it's like they're not doing anything where they're saying, I like Brunson only because of the freaking team that we have. But if I was putting together a championship caliber team, he's Ty Jones. Brunson. He's a better Ty Jones, but Ty's a second team because they got Ja. So maybe we'll luck out and we'll get Scoot Henderson, and then Brunson will be in the role he's destined for. But they're not putting the team together, and it's too late, man. And also our draft assets. They're not draft assets. New Orleans has a draft asset. They have Los Angeles Lakers draft pick this year, so they're going to get a top 5 pick.
Yeah, what are they, 2-10?
Pardon?
What are the Lakers, 2-10?
Something like that, exactly. So the worst, I think, in franchise history. And what do we have? Protected picks. So everything is 14, 18, 19, 20. You're not going to get anybody in that range that's going to turn this franchise around.
Well, at this rate, we might be able to with our draft pick if we let Tibbs keep at it.
Yeah. But even like saying, we have, several draft picks. Who the hell wants the 15th, the 18th, and the 19th draft pick? I'll trade you the 15th, 18th, and 19th. Can I have the number 3 draft pick? Get out of here. Can I have the number 6 draft pick? Get the hell out of here. So nobody wants to move up with that.
Yeah. Also, you mentioned how the team was constructed. I think initially the front office expected Quentin Grimes to enter the season healthy, and they were going to put him out there with a Jalen Brunson, so that way you'd have a plus defender with Brunson. But unfortunately, Quentin Grimes, he had the injury with his foot, and even now we don't really know what his role is on this team because they say quote unquote situational. Look at the situation that they refused to put him in. They didn't put him in the Hawks game, and we could have used his help defensively. And then now they put him in for a little bit, but we could have used a little bit more of Quentin Grimes in this game defensively because our perimeter defense was lacking severely. And we had, I think, an answer that we should have went to a little bit more. I mean, if you look at the numbers, the amount of minutes that each guy played, what is it? Obi Toppin played 15. Quentin Grimes played 8, but then Evan Fournier is going to play 20 minutes for the game. I would have liked
no points.
And no points. Take 5 of those minutes off the top of Evan Fournier and give him to Quentin Grimes. Quentin Grimes would have had
2
13
shot attempts. The guy is rusty. You let him get some burn so he can get his rhythm going. What the hell is he going to? 2 shots are not going to do anything, and 8 minutes are not going to do anything. So it's like, I don't know. Hey, I got a good idea though. I think we need a smile on our face. Let's talk to the chat and do a couple of shout outs. That'll make us feel good.
Yep. Let's see. Let's jump into the chat, see what we got going on. Eddie Suarez says JB, Randle, Evan, RJ, Quickley, Hart are all liabilities on defense. I think Quickley's solid defensively. I wouldn't call
Quickley's very solid on defense. He played a great defensive game today.
Him and Cam were the 2 players that I think played outstanding on defense.
Yeah.
Splashing 12676 says the basketball, not seafood. Wait. Elaborate a little bit more, Splash. What do you mean by that? Jesco, salute to Jesco. He says IQ was a good defender. Yep, definitely is a good defender. He's come a long way since he entered into the...
Very good defender. I know you can pick you up 94 feet too.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Keep Giggles says the Knicks scored like 30 points with 5 minutes left in the first quarter when Rose subbed in. Something like that. D-Night77 agrees with you, Foxy. He says the roster construction is terrible.
We have no length. It's like we have, but hey, let me do a couple of shout outs. Mm-hmm. Lily Phillips, day one of the nice people that I've ever met in the Knicks fandom. I hope all is well with you and your family. You already called out our guy, Talento. JJ, another really great guy that I love talking hoops with. Dean Bushell, Kept Giggles, Core Mega, always. Angel Torres, hope all is well. Hope everything's good in Puerto Rico. Splashing 2676, Jesco, one of the great mods. Felicia Lee, Dwayne Dennis. Let's see, East Blue Drew, EBD, Kaiser Sose. Let's see. Hey, Marvin Smith. Let's see. Hey, I see Adrian Reality. Hope all is well. Adrian was really rude to me a few weeks ago, folks, where he said I was real negative that he can't take this shit anymore. I'm out. Keys, sorry, man, I can't take this dude. So am I really negative, or I'm just a really good analyst, Adrian, that I was telling you what the hell was going to happen before it's happening? So I don't like being rude, but you were rude to me, so back at you, brother. You don't know shit if you thought this team was good a few weeks ago, because we're seeing the reality of who this team is.
Foxy got the boxing gloves on today, man. You still hype from that fight from yesterday, huh?
I was about to say, it's only 4 ounces. Yo.
All right, let's see what else we got going on in the chat. We appreciate you guys tuning in. I know this is a rough game to kind of break down and discuss, but we appreciate you tuning in and chopping it up with us. Let's see. KJ7 Full says, poverty franchises create poverty mindsets amongst their fan base. Wonder what he means by that. D-Night77 says Cam has bigger upside than Grimes. Yeah, definitely. I think Cam showed us a lot of what he can be if he's actually, if this team were to invest in him and his development. I mean, you look at what he did. He was 10 of 17 from the field, 2 of 5 from the three-point line, 4 of 4 from the charity stripe. That's good for 26 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists. He had 4 steals, and he had a big-time block. I believe it was in the second half. And he only had 1 turnover, so solid performance from Cam Reddish, and he was also +2, the only starter that had a positive plus minus. So I'm thrilled with what Cam was able to do. I wish I would be able to celebrate what Cam was able to do out there on the court a little bit more, but it's kind of hard when you got the stench of our defensive issues kind of wafting around that great performance. But I think Cam is starting to show what a lot of people that are fans of his games have been trying to say. He's been able to go out there, show that his length can be an issue for other teams. He's active with his hands. Sometimes he'll get called for fouls, but you see him getting strips. You're seeing him getting deflections, and you're also seeing the athleticism when he's able to recover. Cam's not a perfect defender. At times he gets beat, but he has the athleticism, the foot speed to catch up, and he also has the length to kind of come from behind and make some plays. So I'm thrilled to see what Cam has been able to do recently. I know he's had some struggles and whatnot, but the fact that he was able to go out there, be aggressive, attacking the basket, some of those finishes were beautiful. And even the ones where he wasn't able to knock him down, we saw other players were able to come and follow up after him. So I'm thrilled. I think Cam is starting to show that he needs to have a bigger role on this team, and now it's going to be up to Tibbs to give it to him. So Foxy, how did you feel about Cam's performance?
Loved his performance. Hey, that block on SGA. Did you see the look on his face? Like, yo, man, I just love how he came back. I think he had a turnover and he came back and made up for it on a block on there. But I love that fire. And I was like laughing at myself, like saying he's really showing us everything that we want. And RJ's not on the court because everyone's like, RJ and Cam. Yo, Cam took off without RJ there, man. So, I was real happy. I couldn't ask, like we said, I think he had 4 steals today. I think 4 steals. Yeah, 4 steals, the block. He's getting his rhythm. He's a rhythm player. He missed a lot of last season, so we're only 13 games in now. So Cam, absolutely, man. I'm really happy. And hey, you and I never thought that we would see a thing this year of 30. We'll round it off 33 minutes. Yeah, I love that. Let this guy get burned, man, and let's see what we have.
Yeah. So also, Foxy, we got a super chat from Eddie Suarez. We appreciate your support. Thank you. So it's time to fire Tibbs and get a competent coach in here. My opinion, Quinn Snyder. Now, Quinn Snyder is a pretty interesting option. I think normally when we talk about potential replacements for Tom Thibodeau, we go to a Kenny Atkinson, but that was before when Quinn wasn't available. Now he is actually available. Do you think he could be an option if the Knicks do decide to go or separate ways with Tom Thibodeau as head coach?
Yeah, I'm sure. I'd rather Kenny Atkinson because I love his experience on developing young players, and also that he has his PhD now hanging out with the Golden State Warriors for the last few years to see, Kerr's coaching techniques, having a bigger rotation that Tibbs has. How do you develop these kids? How do you get them 5 minutes of burn, and key points to help in their development? That's the thing that kills us. We're not asking for 20 minutes. We're just asking all these guys, whether it's Deuce and a few others, get him a few minutes in there. How the hell are you supposed to assess their talents? So, but anything but Tibbs. But folks, whatever coach you're bringing in there, you can't ask, if you have the starting lineup and everything, what do you expect those coaches to do, man? Randle's going to be a saboteur, whether it's Atkinson, whether it's Quinn Snyder, or whether it's anybody else. It's. And I've said this, it's time that maybe you put Randle on the second team. I think you can't have Randle and RJ on the court together. Their style of play and everything, it's not complementary, at all. So break them up, bring Obi, let Obi play with RJ. And if Randle gets upset, we'll just call his meditation counselor to help him out.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen some mock trades where we're trying to, sell Julius Randle over to the Lakers. Me, I've always been against bringing in Brickbrook, but it seems like he's accepted, potentially coming off the bench. So we give up, Julius. I think the mock trade was Randle and Rose, and you get this Lakers first round pick, I think in 2027, and then you get back Brickbrook. So at least it frees you up with some of that money.
Yeah, if we can get rid of Randle's contract, then somebody should be the front office person of the year. Just get rid of. I'm serious. I'm not worried about us getting first and stuff like that. Just get rid of that burden for the next few years of that. And also, he's hindering these young kids' development. I'm telling you, Brunson has a look on his face like, what the hell did I get myself into? I love New York, and I know there's lineage with Tibbs and my father and all this stuff. Shit, I should have taken less money and played with Luka.
I hear you on that one. Let's jump back into the chat, see what we got going on. Let's see. KJ74 says, Slow J is a follower, never will be a leader. I'm guessing Slow J is Julius Randle.
Well, you can mix Slow J to meet as RJ.
Oh, could be. Both not exactly, fleet of foot.
Yeah, RJ's fleet of, slow in his feet, and Randle's slow in his head. So from the neck up, and the other one's from the neck down.
Oh, man, Foxy throwing shots left, right, and center. Let's see.
Yo, wait till I choke him out, man. I got an anaconda choke already, man.
Digital Madrigal says, Knicks trying to win 2022 basketball with 90s tactics. That's a fact. Tibbs still can't find a way to scheme up things to defend the three-point line. I think it hurt him in Chicago, it hurt him in Minnie, and now, what did you say, 20 uncontested three-point shots, or you said what, with nobody within 6 feet per
Correct.
Game.
We've given up 247 coming into the game. So after this game, it's probably up to 533.
I mean, that's not mind-boggling to you, Foxy. 20 uncontested. It's
mind-boggling to Mike Breen and Clyde. How many you watch there? I love them, and you're like saying, "Oh, there's another uncontested. There's another uncontested. Oh my God, they're not even close by.
Mm-hmm.
They're in another zip code."
Yep. Oh man, I just hope that they can figure out what to do. But I mean, they haven't really shown much this season that can give you much confidence. I mean, yeah, we've gone out and beat teams like Detroit, but when we've been tested against quality teams, this team has continued to, fall back and not really give out their best effort.
Yeah, but you know what? With Brunson, all of his defensive liabilities, I could still see him be a key member of a championship caliber team. He's second in the league from 5 to 9 feet, which is an incredible task being a guard, a little guy like that. Mm-hmm. So he's everything that we said. He was a mid-range assassin. You get him into that paint, he's fantastic. Him being savvy and and all those other things. But like you said, they should have known that. That's why I said to folks, Jesus Christ, if we got Donovan Mitchell, a backcourt of Brunson and Mitchell would be killed on defense. There is absolutely nothing that we could have done. So we would have given up everything. So it comes back to roster construction. I like Brunson, but like you said, too bad. And it breaks my heart that Grimes wasn't healthy from day one. Maybe we wouldn't be having this talk. Maybe we'd have maybe 1 or 2 more victories.
I mean, we would have probably be getting killed on. We would be getting killed on defense every now and again. But I mean, if we had Donovan Mitchell on this squad right now, we probably win this game 155, 145, and we feel a lot different. So I would have been okay with it if we didn't give up too much to bring Spider here and had the Brunson and the Donovan Mitchell pairing, as long as we didn't give up RJ, because I still wanted to keep RJ in the deal. So, oh man, it's just crazy to see that type of effort at the Garden. you expect sometimes, for the team to not be there or not be able to get up for games occasionally when they're on the road. But that's during a long season when you're at least, 40, 50 games in. You can understand a stinker here and there. But to be at the Garden, I don't give a damn if it's at 12 o'clock. There's millions of people in the city that had to be at work for 12 noon. You telling me these $1 million athletes couldn't get up to play a game just because it was a matinee? People were probably watching Wakanda forever, chilling, doing what they had to do, and there were employees there working, making sure everybody got what they had to get for the showing. So why they couldn't come out and actually put on a good showing for the squad? And people bring up this matinee too much. I don't think that's a big deal.
When you're making $20 million, I think you could say, you know what, I'll party in the off season. I'm going to get good sleep tonight, and I'll get into my routine, and I'll get there. And if it's lunacy. Hey, the whole freaking league is going to hell. Last night, I'm watching highlights from around the league. The Pelicans are winning big. There's like 18 seconds left. They're up by double digits. Brandon Ingram fakes, and he goes uncontested for a dunk, which is a real no-no. Joel Embiid did it also yesterday. The players, they're very talented. They just have no freaking class. Jeff Van Gundy, other guys would have said, the Clydes and everything is like, you're breaching basketball protocol. You beat their ass already, man. Just dribble the ball, and when the 24-second clock goes off, give them the ball. You won the game. You don't have to rub salt into the wounds. What is up with today's athletes, man? My tolerance is really getting tested, by today's athletes.
I'm rubbing it in, especially if we got beef. So I'll disagree with you there on that one, Fox. There's certain things you are out of line, but if you can rub it in a little bit.
Karma's a bitch, man. You do shit like that, it comes back, twice. You have to have respect for the game. Thank you, John Talento. Love you, man. You got to respect the game. The day you lose respect for the game, the karma gods are coming after you, man.
I hear you about respecting the game, but there's also some showmanship and there's some entertainment as well. So if you want to put on a good show for the fans and you rub it in just a little bit, it is what it is.
The only thing that pissed me off that Alvarado that Kevin Porter Jr. was upset that they did that and he fouled Alvarado. He should have cracked him with an elbow in his face rather than just have a soft foul. You should have sent more of a message like, who did it? Was it Alec? No, I think it was Peyton a couple years ago when Phoenix did that to us, I think at home or somebody. Mm-hmm. I think he did it to Jay Crowder or somebody. He did a hard foul. Like, don't you be doing that to me. That's the way the game should be, man.
Let the players police the game. Me as a fan, I'm not too concerned about it. If the players are going to step up and police the game and make sure, all right, you want to do that? Well, here, hold that. That I can live with. But, me, it won't turn me off, especially if it's a blowout. Congrats for you for sticking through it to watch the blowout.
Yeah, I hear you.
All right. Let's see what else we got going on in chat. D-Night77 says RJ has been overhyped since high school.
Word. If he couldn't win a college, a national championship with Zion, Cam, and RJ, that says a lot.
Let's see. D-Night77 says it sounds like you support participation trophies. Any truth to that?
What do you mean by that?
I'm not 100% sure. D-Nice, elaborate.
You're my translator.
I'm the chat translator. We got 132 in chat. Appreciate you guys for tuning in.
I'm the chat whisperer.
Right?
I see dead people in the chat. Yeah, hey folks, we only have 30 likes. We have 132 in the chat. Yeah, we're letting out some of the steam, and hopefully, I know you understand that it's like, you reach a certain age. It's like, you know what? I don't mind. I love my team. I don't mind putting time in. But as long as the team tries, I don't want to waste my freaking time in my life. I could be, watching, House of Dragons or something. I don't want to have to be watching something where I'm like saying, this is bad product. And you know what? I can take us, like I said, getting beat, but damn, this is really bad.
Yeah.
Hey, shout out to my guy Worldwide L. Yo, congratulations on my nephew Bo, one of the coolest bullies you'll ever see in your life. He brought home some more hardware. Congratulations, and folks, if you haven't subscribed to Jahard Hardwill and Worldwide L for the number 4 OUR, the love of the game, please subscribe. They're wonderful guys. And also, he's the father of my nephew Worldwide L, and a Jets fan.
Salute to him. King John 1985 says he wants to know how we feel about Cam's play. Well, we said it earlier, but I think Cam was solid, and if we can continue to see performances like this for Cam, it's going to be hard for Tibbs to try and not give him a much larger role on this team. We've already seen him start. We've seen him eclipse 30 minutes per game. I think now the next step is try to see if we can make him a little, a focal point of the offense. Let's run a little bit more plays for him. The guy's giving his all out there defensively. We saw that today. We saw him be extremely active defensively, especially. Cam really stuck out, I think, defensively, because if you look at what he was able to do and compare it to some of the other guys out there on the court, you can really see him giving some of that effort. So I think he played great. I think the shooting stroke, there was one, I think the one from straight on where he was wide open. I think his form looked a little wonky. But other than that, I think he looked good shooting the ball. He even made a nice little step back midi. I think that's something we wanted to see Cam kind of expand his game, be a little bit more, shoot a little bit more from the mid-range and not make everything a drive to a basket or a three. And I think we saw a little bit of that. So I was extremely happy with what I saw from Cam. Honestly, I was saying we should extend him right now if possible. I was like, hey, let's see if we can get him locked in, because I'm extremely excited with what he can do. And he's one of the only players out there that has that type of size and has that athleticism to stick in front of players, whether it be 1 through 4. So the versatility he's able to give us defensively and his creativity offensively is something that's extremely lacking on this squad.
Yeah, the only thing is history has shown that we see this and we're like, oh man, did you see Cam? And the next game, he has 6 points. And the game after that, he has 9 points. And you're like, shoot, come on. That's been his MO since he's been in the league. He has a game like this that opens your eyes, and then he comes back and you're like But I'm hoping that we see some fire in him. I thought I saw fire today, whether blocking the shot and a few others. I saw, he had a basket actually cutting to the basket. Mm-hmm. Brunson found them, and it's like, why don't you run more plays like that? If I was the shooting coach on the Knicks, I would work with Cam. He has too much of a line drive shot. I wish he had a little more arc on his shot. I think it would work out well. It'd help him a whole lot.
Well, can you really blame Cam too much for some of the inconsistencies? Because look at what he's been given here on the Knicks. He hasn't been given a clear defined role, and the opportunities have been far and few between. So you can kind of understand why he's a little bit antsy sometimes out there in terms of his shot selection. And I think if he's able to be given an opportunity like we've seen today and like we've seen over the last few games where he's getting steady minutes and he's starting to be worked into the offense a little bit more, I think we might see some more consistency from Cam. But it's extremely hard for a guy like Cam who's, on the brink of his NBA career, could be out, I won't say out of the league. I think somebody will still give him an opportunity, but it wasn't looking great for Cam once he hits free agency, as if he's going to have a boatload of suitors. So you can see why he might have been pressing to start the season, but now that he's starting to find his groove a little bit, I would like to see him string a few more of these games together. It doesn't have to be 20 points every night, but the effort we saw defensively, the steals, the blocks, moving the ball, not, holding things up, which we've seen Cam do from time to time. I think if he's able to continue to play like the way we saw him play today, he'll continue to string together, positive games and positive performances.
I'm with you. Give him 30 minutes a game, and I think everything will take care of that. And I used to goof around that. I can understand why he had bad shot selection in Atlanta. If I was playing with Trey, it would be like, Jesus, I never get the ball. If I get the damn ball, I ain't passing it. I'm shooting it, man. That guy Trey takes every freaking shot. But yeah, hey, after today, man, other guys in the league would look around and like, nah, Cam, if Cam gets it together, he's a scary dude. Mm-hmm. So, Cam, like we said, he's fantastic. He's a slasher. He's great in transition, but he's like a gazelle. He's this incredible and open floor. He's this unbelievably athletic, graceful thing. But if you close it up, he's all, that's why sometimes you see him around making these bad shots at the rim where you're like, yo, what the hell was that? Because once you close up the area on him, he's so long that he all of a sudden goes from graceful to clumsy in a fraction of a second. So that's where I'm hoping from an IQ standpoint that he understands that, maybe I'm better off pulling up for a little jumper here or passing the the ball, but I'm in no man's land if I get there. And also I know I'm getting off Cam for a second. If I see Randle under the damn basket, him when he gets the ball out of the basket in the paint, he makes that first fake and then he makes that second fake, and it's like he's going to get the ball. He's either going to have his shot blocked, he's either going to be called for an offensive foul, or he's going to make a bad pass. And it's like every damn game, the guy has no hops. He's like a 1977 power forward. It's like, who the hell has a freaking a guy like that? So RJ has absolutely no hops. Randle has absolutely no hops. And so it's like, when you have Fournier there and you're like, Jesus Christ, who put this team together and then gave them 4-year contracts on being turtles?
I hear you on that, Foxy. I know you're frustrated too about the lack of athleticism on this squad, but that's why I think Cam kind of jumps off the court. The fact that he's able to move with grace, he's able to be quick, even though it doesn't seem like today I think there was a lot of hustle in this game, but for the most part, when he moves, it seems like there's very little effort needed to get up and down the court. So I know some people have been against him for that, but I think Cam, if things are going to continue to go the way they have been, I think Cam is someone that you look at and says, all right, he can be a long-term piece for this squad. There's very few players on this team that can kind of do a lot of the things that he does out there on the court. And you talked about him, I would say he's long and somewhat lanky, so I guess there's some finesse to his game. But I like the fact that we saw some aggression in his takes. There was one play he went up against 3 Thunder, and I know there's no big man, but a lot of those guys out there have pretty good size. Giddy 6'8", Poku's has some size in him as well. So for him to go out there and be able to go into the defense, get contact, and finish over 3 of them, I think that was definitely something I was excited about, because Clyde was kind of coming at him, says he's a little bit too, I won't say passive, but he doesn't try to go through the chest of defenders when he's attacking.
He avoids contact. There's no doubt about that.
He avoids contact. So to see him actually finish through some of the contact and kind of seek the contact and finish through it, I think that was definitely encouraging.
He had like 3 or 4 tough shots at the rim today and a couple of and ones. For sure, where he played tough. That he won me. He got a gold star from me today. That's for damn sure.
Foxy's giving out haymakers and gold stars. MIG says boycott this team already. I wouldn't go that far. It's hard for me to boycott any team that I love. I still love the game, still love to see them play, even though they're frustrating. I still got to be in the loop. You know what I mean? If I'm not watching, I can't really speak on any other teams. And I got friends I like to chop it up with, talk the game with. So I got to be tuned in.
Yeah, my friends are killing me, man. They're just killing me. My best friends up in Boston and stuff like that. And, he has, Tatum, he has Jaylen Brown. God, to be a fan and have that as your nucleus and stuff like that. And what do we got?
Yeah, it's tough. But, I think we'll move on from Tibbs. And I think when we move on from Tibbs, we have to move on from the front office. I don't see them getting another opportunity to bring in a new head coach. That ship has sailed. They should have did that last offseason.
Hey, but this front office from day one, you're bringing in a Peyton, you're bringing in journeyman players. They didn't do anything. That we had to, give up things to get rid of Kemba. He should never came here in the first place. A few other things. This is an equal opportunity offender, the front office. And Tibbs is who Tibbs is. He's a 65-year-old guy who wants to win now, and because the clock's ticking on his career. Hey, but there is good news. We have positivity just came into the chat. We got Sherwin. So Sherwin, hope all is well with you and your family. Hey, Shimmy MD, hope all is well. Silver Surfer, KG7 Full.
Yeah, Shimmy MD says, why did last week's show get blocked? To be honest, I have no clue. We put it up. Next thing you know, NBA's talking about, we can't have it uploaded. It can't be public. And they took it down for like a day. And then out of nowhere.
And then he's got a letter. Good news, that, you can put the show back up.
Yeah, the dispute has been resolved.
During the season, you lose shelf life. So it's like, we did that show, prepared all week. We're dedicated to you to have YouTube, screw us.
Yeah. NBA was hating on that one. They let it rock. They put it back on, and there's gotten some clicks too, especially with the fact that the team has kind of been floundering. So with the title hot seat, Thibodeau still getting some clicks. So salute to you guys that are still watching. But yeah, the NBA was hating, cracked down a little bit, but it's all good. They can't stop us. We still back and better than ever. You heard me?
That's a Snapple fact.
You already. That's what I'm talking about, Foxy.
Knicks Nation 112. What's happening?
Yep. Let's see. D. Jones says, I'm already starting to look at these draft prospects. Nick Smith Jr., Keontae, George, and then Thompson.
Yeah, Keontae George had a crazy game yesterday for Baylor, folks. I think he scored 23, shot over 50% from the field. Yo, talk about a shooting guard of our future. If we could get Keontae George, a 3-level scorer, really go. Nick Smith hasn't played yet for Arkansas. I'm waiting for him to play. Amen Thompson is one of the literally a generational athletic. His first step is as explosive as I've ever seen. Him and his brother can't shoot, but I think they're going to be dynamite on defense. Amen sees the floor. He has really vision. We saw today, folks, Giddy. Those guys 6'8", they see the floor at a whole nother level, man. So, Amen Thompson. But, folks, last year's draft was better than this year's draft. I'm going through all the guys, man. So, Hinton Murphy, one of the greats in Knick fandom. I hope all is well with you and the family, says Foxy. Blow this up for Victor. Hinton, I want to ask you a question. Would you take Hinton? Would you take him? Would you take Wemby or would you take Scoot? I would lean towards Scoot.
Let's see. What about Derrick Whitehead, Foxy? That's what John Talento wants to know.
Well, he's unfortunately hasn't played because he fractured his foot at Duke. But he's smooth, man. He's very smooth. He could be, he's an underrated passer. He has a beautiful stroke. He's athletic. He would be a great addition to this team.
And Knicks Nation 112 says, why did we not see Cam on SGA sooner in the game? And I think that's a pretty good question, because once we saw Cam get switched on to SGA, he had a lot more difficulty trying to get his shot off and things like that. And we saw Cam be pesky, got the block, was able to get some strips on him after he was beat initially. So I think that was definitely something that Tibbs should have done a lot sooner. I mean, it is Tibbs finally making adjustments. It's just that when Tibbs makes adjustments, it's too late to really make any effect. And I think that's one of the major issues or major concerns with having a guy like Tom Thibodeau as, head coach. He's so stuck in his ways that it takes him forever to pivot.
Yeah, and he can have loose handles, SGA. So smart putting, Cam on him with that 7-foot plus wingspan, man. He's definitely disruptive.
Didn't Grimes strip him? I forgot who stripped him. He was driving later, left around the stream. And
I thought it was IQ.
Was it? It was one of them.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. What else we got going on in chat? Eddie Suarez.
Craig,
go ahead.
I was going to say, Craig says RJ looks out of shape. Yeah, I think he's hanging out with Anthony Edwards.
Eating on Popeyes. Let's see. Eddie Suarez says Orlando players was warning the Knicks about Evan and they didn't listen. That's true. Oh, okay, I didn't know that. Somebody else asked, why was Evan Fournier making 78 mil? I really don't understand, man. I mean, we should have tried every avenue to try and get him out of here in the offseason, because now all we're doing is just sending his value lower and lower into the deep end, because it's going to be hard to really get anything in order to move Evan Fournier. We're going to have to attach all of these draft assets we've been accumulating to free ourselves off of his deal if we're going to move him this season. Maybe next season it might be a little bit easier when he's an expiring contract, but if we're going to get something for him this year, we're going to have to be attaching some value to him.
Yeah, I was saying this behind the scenes to both George and to Keese, but, they giggled, but we just saw Alec Burks, how smooth he was with Detroit. You're trying to tell me that we wouldn't have been better off having Burks and no Fournier here? And forget about, I feel badly for Alec Burks because of this asshole Tibbs putting him at point guard last year. He's not a point guard. You put him in a position that's not his optimal, but he can shoot, man. He could create his own shot. What the hell did we need Fournier? I'd rather have us had Burke on this team and absolutely no Fournier, and save, like you said, we owe him $38 million for the next 2 years.
Yeah, we should have moved Fournier in that deal instead of
or never signed them in the first place.
Yeah, true. But at that point, it's what's done is already done. Knicks Nation 112 says Cam, Grimes, IQ with Mitch, our defensive team. They could play RJ, Obi, or JR at power forward. Cam, Grimes, IQ with Mitch, our defensive team, and then they could play RJ, Obi, or JR at the power forward. Okay. So you'd have quick running point, then you'd have Grimes at the 2. I would probably have RJ at the 3 and then Cam at the 4, because I think Cam's a little bit more versatile as a defender. He can guard some 4s in the league better than I think RJ would. And then you'd have Obi and or JR as alternative options at the 4 as well.
Yeah, I think in the next few years, I would not be surprised if Josh Giddey is doing the dreaming, playing the 4, and basically being what Draymond does for Golden State, being the a point 4, on that team. God, he sees the floor so beautifully.
Yeah. King Jod 1985 is saying, so y'all saying tank the season? I'm not saying tank the season. I'm just saying go out there and be competitive.
They're going to tank just being themselves. They're not going to have to tank. They're just going to play, and we're going to end up with a tank.
Yeah, it's not like we're winning and we're saying, no, stop winning so we can lose and get a higher draft pick. At this point, the team is doing their own tanking on their own. We're not telling them what to do. They're trying to win every single game, and then they're losing, in spite of that effort to win. So I wouldn't say this team should tank. I'm just saying if you're going to make the moves you did in this offseason, then you have to be competitive, because even if we were to tank, does Tibbs get retained? I would hope not. But if Tibbs does get retained, do you expect him to play any of the draft picks, any of the players we draft with the abundance of picks we have? No. I mean, even though I don't see Tibbs surviving us, quote unquote, tanking. But me personally, I think you have to make some moves with this roster if you're going to try and tank the right way, quote unquote, because I think we still have guys on this team that have talent and will win games. I don't think we'll be bad enough to the point where we'll get a top 5 pick. You know what I mean? So do I think we should reverse course and, start trading all these players away just so we can lose? No, I think we should try and trade some of these players so we can see more of what our young guys can do and give them more opportunities. And if we end up losing a lot of games by doing that, then, so be it. We have draft capital to bring in more talent. But I want to see what these guys can do before we start, moving players. We'll talk about it in a little bit, but Quickley, teams are calling, making calls for Quickley. We still don't know exactly what Quickley could be in this league. Eventually teams are going to call and start seeing what they can get for, or what they have to offer up in order to get Obi. So before we start making these major decisions, I want to see these guys be put in the best positions in order to showcase their talents before we start making these decisions that we can't renege on. If we go and trade Emmanuel Quickley, we can't say no, we fixed things, we want him back, send him back over here. We actually got some time to put him in a position to succeed. Same thing with Obi. So I don't want us to go out there and tank per se. I just want us to make some moves so we can start getting some of these players that we have long-term, we want to be here long-term, more opportunities to showcase their talent. So me personally, that's what I would want, not necessarily us tanking.
Yeah, and I think the first one on the list is D Rose. He's not happy with the time that he's getting, and at this stage with the team and everything, it's like, what? We're not going to re-sign him next year forever, or pick up his option next year. He's making $14 million this year. Yeah, let Deuce get some burn. Let IQ get more burn as the backup one. And thank you, D Rose. You've been great during this little span, but time has caught up to you. You have flashes on offense, but every game you're dismal on defense. Let's just move on from D Rose the first chance that we can get.
And Rose is starting to chirp to the media a little bit, and he's actually seeing some returns on that chirping as well. Because after he went and kind of voiced his frustration to the fans, not to the fans, but to the media, he was the first guard off the bench, if I'm not mistaken. Let me just put that on screen so we can discuss it. So New York Knicks guard Derrick Rose spoke with reporters on Thursday and made some interesting comments about his reduced role this season. I'm in the unknown, said Rose, per Sportsnet New York. I'm trying to stay focused and give my all every day without talking to the guys and being vocal. But yeah, This is a new thing. This is foreign to me. So me personally, I thought this was something that was mutually agreed upon between the coaching staff and Derrick Rose, where he would see a reduced role. They would kind of monitor his minutes to make sure he'd be available if we were to somehow sneak into the playoffs. But now it seems like he's not really too thrilled about playing 12, 13 minutes per game, and he wants an expanded role. So Foxy, when you heard some of these quotes from Derrick Rose, what was the first thing that crossed your mind?
First thing that crossed my mind is no communication. So he was left in the dark, man. It's like nobody did, like you said, sit down with him and say, hey, you're a valued player. You know, you're a first team Hall of Famer. You're a great guy. We owe it to you to tell you what we're thinking, what your role on this team is going to be. But it seems like he came here, we want you to lose weight. All right, man, I lost 20 pounds, got back to my rookie weight, came in healthy. I'm feeling good. Nobody's talking to me. What am I going to play on this team this year? And it's like, Jesus, I knew you signed Brunson, but man, you're only going to give me 13 minutes. And hey, great ball players still never want a backup role. And that's why they're great ball players. They have that competitive fire in their belly. So I love that about them. But what jumped off the page with me was like, where's the communication, man? There's no communication between Tibbs talking to him, what his expectations and what his role is going to be. And Rose is firing back saying, hey, a lot of people, if you go back in history, everybody's like, Derrick Rose and Tibbs love each other. Do your history, folks. Derrick Rose called a team meeting to, and the next step was he got fired, Tibbs, because he was messing up the players in Chicago. So Rose has had ups and downs over his career with Tibbs, where he's like, yeah, he's cool, but in other times he's totally uncool. His time's come, man. His time has come and gone. We need youth. We need a young coach, man, that can talk. You look at, what is he, 37, the OKC coach? You look around the league, you looked at Orlando's coach, you look around, it's like, and is it Johnny Bryant time? Hey, I really think this 5-game swing, contrary to a lot of people saying, they're winnable games for the Knicks if we play well. But if we're going to continue this, maybe we should do it to get Tibbs the hell out of here, the first thing. And maybe they'll give Johnny, I don't know if they'll bring in somebody in midseason. The natural thing is to say maybe give Johnny a chance. We got rid of Fizdale a few years ago early in the season and gave it up to Miller. So why don't we, the team's not responding. They're playing in front of our home audience, an embarrassment after getting embarrassed in Brooklyn. That they're not responding. Johnny, it's Johnny time. Tibbs, we're going to give you some ceremonial position in the front office. Thank you. Get the hell out of here, Johnny. Let's see what you can do for the rest of the season. If he does well, cool. If he doesn't, we have a meeting with Kenny Atkinson at the end of the season, and we'll change, or Quinn Snyder or somebody else.
And just like that, Foxy, Johnny Watch has officially begun. So just to, let the chat know what the next 5 games are. It's going to be against the Jazz Tuesday, November 5th. Then we're going to be at the Denver Nuggets on Wednesday. So that's a back-to-back, 2 tough games. Jazz, we thought they were going to be some team that we can, I won't say walk over, but they weren't going to be too competitive. But it's been the complete opposite about that. They've gone from tanking to being one of the best teams, at least record-wise.
Markkanen's having a fantastic year, man.
Facts. So that'll be a tough game. Then Nuggets followed up right after that. Then on Friday, we'll be going up against the Golden State Warriors. Oh, man, I done took the schedule away from me. There we go. So against the Golden State Warriors on Friday, and then the 5th game would be Sunday against the Suns. That'll be a 3:30 start time, and ironically, it also brings us to the next Sunday stream, which would be a post-game edition following that game, following the conclusion of that game. So those are going to be extremely tough games. I would, if I were to look at the betting odds, I would assume we'd be underdogs for all 5 of those games. Oh no, that's only 4. The 5th one is against the Thunder again on Monday.
Yeah, back there. So let's see if we have some, return the favor and beat them at home. Hey, Kep Giggle said, go watch the first quarter from today's game and tell me Rose is washed. Kep, that's not the point. The point is that we got our ass kicked today. That if he has value, let's get rid of value. We're not picking up his option next year. So you'd rather play Rose and take away the key significant development time from an IQ, from a Deuce, from other young players because of a few minutes, of the 13 minutes or 15 minutes that you want to give Rose. It just doesn't make sense. If our team is not doing well, then if he's showing these, let's get rid of him to a team that could use his veteran presence and let the young guys, let the young guys eat a little. But every minute he plays is a minute that we're saying, man, I would love to see Deuce on that guy defensively.
Yeah, I was calling for either Deuce or V in the game today when they had Evan Fournier out there.
V, absolutely.
Like, what's going on? Shoot. Yeah. Either give us shooting or give us some defense, because we were getting neither nor from Evan Fournier. So you could have put Deuce in defensively, see what he can do, what he can give us. Or you could put V in as a three-point shooter that can knock down. Because Evan Fournier had about 2 or 3 good quality looks in that fourth quarter, and he bricked, I think, all of them. Well, he definitely bricked all of them. He didn't make a shot the entire game. so for us to get nothing from him offensively and get nothing from him defensively, why did Tibbs decide to play him so much in the fourth? In that end of that third quarter and into the fourth, made absolutely no sense. We were getting nothing from the guy.
Yeah. Sherwin said we're not re-signing IQ or Obi. We should trade them. I don't know about that, Sherwin. Their contracts, well, first of all, their contracts are so low. We definitely have them for another year unless we do put them in a trade package for quote unquote the star that we're going to use all our assets for, that the front office call up their friends and say, I need you to drop a story for me that we're still looking for, a superstar with all of our, assets, which are the 15th and 19th draft choice and all this other crap.
Yeah. Let's see what else we got going on. UBG says he's tired of Tibbs. You and me both, UBG. I wasn't a fan when he got hired and not a fan now.
Yeah, Silver Surfer said change the team name to the Unknowns. Yo, Silver Surfer, I think everybody should start wearing, I don't think you can get paper bags at the supermarket anymore. But remember when they used to...
No, you only get paper bags. They stopped giving out plastic bags.
Well, where I live, you can only use recycled.
Oh, okay. In the city, they don't do plastic bags anymore.
Yeah, so remember, but the old days, people would cut out the eyes because the teams were so bad.
Mm-hmm. They didn't want to show their face.
But you know what? There needs to be a viral moment where Dolan sees that, like the movie Network, we're fed up and we're not going to take this anymore.
We're not gonna
take it.
We're not gonna take it. We're not
my brother from the Bronx just pulled up Julian Blum.
Let's see what we got going on. Ranrock says V can shoot and he's 6'7". Julian Blum, salute. He says salute Keith, Stephen Fox, and the chat. We appreciate you tuning in. Thank you for the support. We've got 136 in chat. Only got 49 likes. Do us a solid. Smash that like button. Greatly appreciate it.
Please get us to 100. YouTube and their algorithms. So get us to that 100. If you have subscribed, thank you so much. If you haven't, please subscribe. Like we say, it's the one-stop shop for Knicks news, rumors, analysis, and people saying terrible things about the Knicks. So please turn on the old reminder bell so you don't miss anything. Please share the link on your favorite social media platform. Shout out to the replay gang if you can't catch it live. We love chopping it up with you on the comments. And as always, shout out to the best mods on the planet. We appreciate all you do.
UBG says Leon Rose needs to be held accountable too. Definitely. The front office, I don't think they've done a great job. I think they've done decent in drafting, especially trying to find some gems and later on in the draft. But outside of that, I think the free agent signings really haven't had the effect that they had anticipated. The coaching signings have not had the effect that they anticipated. Seems like the relationships are getting a little bit too involved in the way this team is put together. I mean, Leon Rose has a relationship with Tibbs, so he brings Tibbs on. Tibbs has a relationship with Rick Brunson, so he brings Rick Brunson on. We signed Rick Brunson's son and Jalen Brunson, which I'm cool with. But all I'm gonna say is, if we do move on from Tom Thibodeau, are we gonna keep Rick Brunson? Because then things get a little bit awkward because Rick Brunson is part of Tibbs' staff. I'm not sure if we change coaching staffs if Rick Brunson is going to stay on. And now do we slight Jalen Brunson by firing his father from the coaching staff, or do we just keep him and have him carry on with the new coaching staff or the new regime. And, you know, when you have these relationships, when you hire people based on relationships, you start to have these awkward scenarios that you're going to have to traverse. So.
Yeah, Rick Brunson's the new Herb Williams.
Herb,
Can't get rid of him.
Yeah, right?
He's just gonna be here.
Oh, man, I haven't thought about Herb in forever. Oh, man.
Would Dolan let someone sell him on a 3-year full rebuild or tank? Well, if somebody is a pro GM, they're going to be saying to him, we're going to keep it real. Either you rebuild or you're not going to win a championship. So somebody's going to come in here. If somebody else vying for this position is telling you that we can make a championship team out of this roster, you better run the other way. I'm giving you that free advice.
Yeah, I think what's frustrating with the way this roster is set up is I don't really see a clear avenue for us to become legitimate contenders. You know what I mean? If Jalen Brunson plays his best, if RJ plays his best, and if Julius Randle plays his best, I still think there's a big gap between us and some of the upper echelon teams in the NBA. And we're not giving enough of an opportunity for those young guys to really develop and bridge that gap. So if we don't have the elite talent to match some of these good teams, and we're not cultivating that talent on this team, then what the hell are we doing?
Hey, RJ Brunson would be at a whole nother level if Randle wasn't there. He's killing us. And that the people are like, but he scores 20 points and 10 rebounds. He's a stat stuffer, man. You can't win with that guy.
Yeah, it's a lot of empty stats. He gets his numbers every night.
And he's the 18th best guy on defensive rating. It's like, come on, man.
Yo, when they said that for the first season, he was one of the best defensive rating, I was like, well, how do they calculate this defensive rating? Because what I'm looking at does not equate to what they're saying he's doing out there defensively, because leaves a lot to be desired when it comes to what he was doing defensively. But in year one and in what is this now, year 3 under Tibbs?
Yeah, and it's frightening. The difference is Peyton and Bullock. So if those guys can make the difference between being a top defense and not, I don't mean anything. Hey, Peyton got a lot of, grief. But if you take a step back, the thing that he was great at a couple things. He was elite at getting to the rim, obviously not finishing, but he was like second every year in getting to the rim. But he was also great at stopping somebody at the point of attack. That's what we haven't had in the last couple of years. And also Bullock, as crazy as it sounds, was our defensive quarterback. You would see him pushing Randle over here and talking to a guys there. So we lost IQ on defense, meaning intelligence, not Emmanuel Quickley. But it's crazy, man.
Yeah, it's definitely tough. But you mentioned Quickley's name, so I guess we might as well start discussing him a little bit. Let me put this on screen. So there were some reports that teams are now making calls for Emmanuel Quickley. Here's the report. It says the New York Knicks are getting trade calls for guard Emmanuel Quickley, while the Knicks aren't looking to move the third-year guard. Other teams see New York's surplus at the position as a way to get Quickley. This season, Quickley is off to a slow start. He's averaging a career-low 7.5 points per game, and he's shooting just 34.8% from the field, including 28.3% on three-pointers. Now, Quickley did have a good game today. Let me just read off some of his stats from the game. Let me just pull it up. Give me 1 second.
Yeah, it was misleading when you get it up there.
Oh, I'm not going to put... Well, yeah, I guess I could put it up.
Or you want me to just mention him? Or
yeah, you can mention him and then I'll put him on.
Yeah, so he played, I'll round it off, 24 minutes today. Quickly, he was 8 for 17. But as we saw, both teams, today's NBA, he was getting to the hole. Most of it, he was only 1 for 4 from 3, which is supposed to be one of his specialties. Most of his points were in the paint. Floaters or, quasi layups. So, hey, he played great on defense. I got to give it to him. He's getting better and better on defense. Great wingspan, great effort. Nothing but props to him on his defense. He had 5 assists, 3 steals. So, yeah, I can understand. And his shot will come around when he's playing with guys, what we just said about D Rose, when he knows his role. poor IQ. Am I going to be a point guard? Am I going to be the off guard? What do you want from me? What from game to game, he's a young player. You're asking a lot of him, especially a guy who wasn't a point guard at Kentucky. He's learning the craft, but he is a student. He's a good kid, has great reputation. So I can understand why teams are inquiring about him. I would call him as a poor man's Maxey. He doesn't have that first step or speed of Maxey, but he has somewhat of a similar game.
Yeah, I'm not too surprised teams are calling. You see that he's been struggling recently, so maybe teams are trying to see if they can get Quickley, for the low or whatever the case may be. But I don't think I'm ready to see Quickley be traded. I'd rather them try and find ways to get other players in that logjam and send them out of town as opposed to Immanuel Quickley, because I don't think Immanuel Quickley has star potential per se, but I think he can be a solid role player. Just has to get those efficiency numbers back up. We've seen time and time again that Immanuel Quickley has been a spark plug this season when his shot isn't falling. So imagine what Immanuel Quickley can do if he can up that field goal percentage to 40-41%, or he can up that 3-point percentage, not even to 40%, but to like 36-37%.
Yeah, league
a little
average,
bit more
exactly.
respectable. So I don't think it's time to pull the plug on Immanuel Quickley, especially seeing the performance he was able to go out there and put on tonight. I mean, he was +5 in a game in which we lost by 10. So I think, we saw a lot of positive things from the team when he was out there on the court. So I'm willing to wait a little bit before we try and make a move for Immanuel Quickley, because honestly, if we were to trade Immanuel Quickley right now, I don't think we'd be getting commensurate value for his production, especially with the way he struggled to start the season. So if we are going to trade from Immanuel Quickley, let's allow him to play a little bit better by giving him more minutes, giving him more opportunities. And then if we do try to jettison him, at least maybe we can move him with a guy like Randle if we really need to get off of that contract and hopefully still receive some type of value.
Yeah, Randle's the guy that we have to move. Quickley's the wrong guy that you're moving, especially the contract that you have, because he was a 25th pick. It makes no sense. You have him next to nothing for next year. I'm trying to find it right here. I'll find it in a second, folks. But he's making absolutely no money next year, so it makes sense for us to keep him and see if he's going to realize the potential that a lot of us thought he was going to be like a Lou Will, that microwave scorer off the bench. But obviously, he's had to take on a few other roles. But the bottom line, he's got stronger. He worked hard on his defense, so he's not a one-dimensional player at all. Lou Will is a one-dimensional player. He can score and stuff, but if you're talking defense, Lou Will's name never comes up. He's a very good defender now, man. I have great respect that he worked on his game to up it to this level.
Yeah, Quick is making 2.3 this season, and he's making 4.1 next.
Which is chump change.
Yeah, 1.87% of the cap this year, and then only 3.1% of the cap the following year. I think the reason people might look to or might explore trading Immanuel Quickley is if we're unable to retain him once he hits restricted free agency. So that might be an issue, or that might be a reason that the front office might look to move on from Quickley if they feel like there's a glut at the position and it wouldn't make sense to extend him, because he won't be making that amount of money much longer. 2024, 2025 is when he's really supposed to get a much larger contract. I think his cap hold, the qualifying offer is 12.5. So I think he'll get something around that if he gets the open market, maybe a little bit less. But I think he might be getting something in that area.
Yeah, and the ball's in his court, no pun intended. But like you said, he shot rounded off 39% for his first 2 years, field goal percentage and stuff like that. And he shot, I won't go by this year because he's shooting really, really bad. But last year he shot 34.6. So, yeah, like you said, 36%. The other things that he brings, he's absolutely one of the things we haven't mentioned. He's a phenomenal rebounder for a guard. Yep.
Yeah, I like the fact when he's able to rebound and push the pace, something that we would hope Julius Randle would do a little bit more, because it gives us easier opportunities in transition. And with that second unit, we got a lot of guys that can really flourish out in the open court. You look at a guy like Jericho Sims when he's playing in replace of Ihart because he got moved to the starting lineup. Obi Toppin really has good synergy with those two guys. And, even Cam, when Cam is in the second unit and playing and sharing the court with Emmanuel Quickley, when Quickley decides to actually look for him, you see them, have some success in transition. So I like the fact that Quick can be a solid rebounder and then also has the ability and the vision to move the ball up the court and try to get us some easy looks. You'd like him to be a little bit better when it comes to, seeing the floor in the half court. But in transition, I think he's been solid.
Yeah, and folks, if you're a rebounder, all we're asking this team is to be dogs. You got, Quick is a dog, man. He's not he doesn't mind mixing it up with the big boys in there and going for a rebound. So I love that. So I think we could keep working with him, like you said, $4 million. Did you say next season? 4. So that's chump change, man. So we have him for nothing next year. Let's give it another year before we give up on him.
I hear you on that one on Foxy. Let's see what else we got going on in the chat.
Yeah, I was going to say just real quick, hey folks, 131 in chat. Please, everyone, just take a second. Do us a solid. Please hit that like so we can get up to that 100 mark before we say goodnight in a little while. So please do that. Quick shout out to DeRoss, D Crown, MBIC, Herb Blunt Jr., UBG. Thank you so much for your support.
Yep, salute to D. Ross. He says Randle and RJ too herky-jerky. Must go. I don't mind herky-jerky because you can pause. Because you don't... I would say Jalen Brunson, his game is a little bit shifty or herky-jerky when he starts to operate in, the post area. I would just say Randle and RJ, sometimes they're not exactly decisive in what they intend to do. And it puts them in... It gets them in some trouble occasionally.
Yeah, I hear herky jerky. First person I think of is IQ. Seriously, he has a weird style, man.
That stop and start. He used to draw a lot of fouls, but I've seen him draw as many fouls, especially when the defender's trailing and he's trying to put up that floater and things like that. We really haven't seen too much of that from him this season.
Yeah. No, well, they made the rule change a year or so ago, but yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah, about no selling the foul. Let's see. UBG says Tibbs is too outdated. He doesn't understand how the modern game has evolved. Facts. Don't disagree with you there.
And the thing you brought up a couple of minutes ago, if he's not communicating with an old-time comrade, Leon Rose, you think he's going to be talking to the young kids? Mm-hmm. So there's a communication thing, man.
Yeah, definitely some issues with the communication. All right, let's see what else we got going on. D-Crown 00X says, no doubt, peace to the guys. Great show. We appreciate you joining us. Thank you for tuning in as long as you did. We really appreciate the support. And we got to 70 likes, so thank you guys for the support. We really appreciate it. All right, so there's another news story we want to get to. Oh, let's put that up on screen. So
my buddy Ashley just joined, otherwise known as the wonderful Wiz of Knicks. Hi, Ashley. Hope all is well with you and your family.
Salute. Thank you for tuning in. We greatly appreciate it. Put that person in timeout. All right, so we have this news story. Kemba Walker was recently on with Woj discussing his time with the Knicks and just his time in the NBA in general. So these are some of the things that he had to say. He said at first it was a storybook. It was. Walker said of his time in New York on the Woj Pod show. It was something I was really looking forward to. Any kid would dream of playing for their home team. And I've dreamed about that for a very long time. When the opportunity came about, I was uber excited, but unfortunately, it just didn't work out for me individually. I didn't really fit the system and what those guys were trying to do over there. It just wasn't for me. Another thing that he said during the conversation with Woj, he was kind of talking about players and what they do at halftime, running to their phones, trying to see what's going on. And I wouldn't be shocked if quite a few Knicks do that as well. I mean, we've seen Emmanuel Quickley. He blocked somebody on Twitter because he wasn't too thrilled with what he was saying about him. So we know they definitely see what's going on social media. So for them to be kind of checking their socials at halftime, I think is a little bit concerning. Even though I can't be too upset about it, I check my phone out on my lunch break.
Did you see the NFL game this year where the guy's phone fell out after he got tackled?
Yeah, he's talking about he didn't know it was in his pocket. Bro, you're wearing skin tight like football pants. How do you not know a phone is in
sports? Are you crazy?
I know phones have gotten small from what was it, the late 90s or early 2000s, but they're not small enough that you're not going to fill them in your pocket.
I don't know about that. I just got the iPhone 14 Max. I said to my wife, man, I got a weight lift, man. I did it because of my old eyes, a bigger screen, but damn, it's a heavy phone compared to my previous iPhones.
Right? It's crazy. All right, let's see. So, I'm sorry, we got into it. I forgot to ask you how you felt about the words.
Well, I was going to say, if I was Woj, I would have said to him, "Hey, that's a really great point. You said, and what those guys are trying to do over there. We don't know what the hell they're trying to do. Could you
elaborate?
Could you elaborate what the hell they're trying to do? Because obviously Leon Rose doesn't talk to anybody other than Alan Hahn and his scripted things. What the hell are they trying to do? All they do is trade down. They don't go for you couldn't get Ivy, but you didn't go for Mathurin. You didn't go for Shaden Sharp. A couple of years ago during the draft show, I said, hey, folks, I would go for Isaiah Jackson out of Kentucky. And, I don't mean anything, but we overpaid for Mitch. We absolutely overpaid for Mitch. $12 million. You and I were up front and said we won't give him a penny more. $12 million, the same thing that the Time Lord Robert Williams got in with the Celtics, and Time Lord's a better player than Mitch. So, but we didn't do any of these things where it's like, let's look forward. We could have got Chris Duarte, a great shooter, and say all we had to do is like, we're going to take you. And he would have told every other team, don't draft me. I won't work out for you or whatever. But so the front office, it's like I said, we have an agent. We don't have a basketball person in charge of this franchise.
Fox, let's see what we else got going on in the chat. Feliciano Media Coast has fired Tibbs. UBG says Knicks have a ton of protected picks that won't amount to much. Facts. By the time those picks become something, they'll be second round picks for the most part. If not, they'll be late first round picks that nobody is really going to be too enticed to trade for.
And we have a foundation here of late round picks. So they're good guys, but we need elite. And I only said it once in the show so far, folks.
For those counting. Sherwin says, Obi fans, stop it. The Knicks is not trading Randle a two-way. What? Sherwin says, Obi fans, stop it. The Knicks are not trading Randle a two-way player. Who's the two-way player? Julius?
Yeah, Sherwin's, I think, is having a little hanging out with his buddies Jack Daniels and Johnny Walker tonight.
What does he mean by the two-way? Maybe if you want to say he can score and grab rebounds.
No, we know Sherwin. He loves Randle. Randle walks on water. He can't do anything right, while all of us say he's arguing with the ref. He's not even getting back on defense.
Right.
Or, so we love you, Sherwin, but Jesus, man, I don't know.
Yeah, salute to Sherwin, but two-way players is a reach. I can barely call Randle an offensive threat at this point.
Yeah.
All right, let's see what else we got going on in the chat. Ashley Inks said that was hilarious, Foxy. Facts.
I love you too, man. Hey, by the way, just wanted to say last week it was crazy with everything. Just wanted to do a quick shout out for the vets, Ashley, or Wiz, and DSJ, and Soulfinger, and shout out to Freezy, all the guys that have thank you for your service. We love the vets, so just shout out to the vets, man.
Yep, salute to the vets. We appreciate all you've sacrificed to defend this country. My father
Ron Cleveland too
served as well. My grandfather served as well, so salute to all.
My dad, absolutely.
Yeah, that's how my grandfather got his citizenship. Let's see what else we going on over here. Kaiser Soze 718 says time to rid ourselves of these useless vets and do what the other teams that are rebuilding are doing. Do the Knicks think they're smarter than everyone else or something? Facts. How many of these rebuilding teams do you see full of vets? Look at the Thunder. Let's pull up the Thunder again. Let's look at their squad. How many vets do they have on that team? Muscala, I guess you could call a vet.
Yeah, but I was going to say, rest your case, counselor. You won this.
Yeah. Even Detroit, the only vet they really give big minutes to is Burks, and that was like his first game back from injury. And he got solid.
But they did that because the only other option was Kevin Knox. I'll go with the old dude rather than that other guy.
Yeah, the guy we drafted instead of the one that killed us today.
Yeah.
All right. D Crown XXX says Randle is good as gone, 100%, and that's facts with Evan coming soon.
I wish
Evan
it was true,
going
but who
soon.
the hell's going to take him?
Yeah. D977 says the Knicks front office don't think they're rebuilding. I think that was been the problem from day one. I think when they came here, they really never embraced a full rebuild. And you can tell that by the fact that they hired Tom Thibodeau. Once they hired Tom Thibodeau, it's like, I don't think the front office is really making the proper moves to rebuild. And you saw that they brought in some vets for Tom Thibodeau. You know, yes, they kind of sprinkled some youngins here and there, but for the most part, this front office has not been doing a great job trying to rebuild. They've been trying to, what do the Yankees say? Retool? I forgot what the correct phrase that Cashman uses, but it's like they're trying to build and be competitive at the same time. And I think we've seen time and time again that that's not necessarily conducive to success.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't use Cashman as a model. They haven't won a championship since 2009, the Yankees, so fuck Brian Cashman.
Well, look, Knicks fans right now would sell an arm and a leg if we won a championship in 09.
No doubt. But they were able to do it because of money. You know, baseball is a whole different game than basketball.
I hear you on that one. So, yeah, how do you feel about that, Foxy, about the Knicks front office not thinking that they should be rebuilding or they're in a rebuild?
It's delusional. You know, it's like I said, it's only a lawyer could say that. A real basketball guy. You know, I always say, what would you jury do when I'm thinking about young players and stuff like that during the draft process? I was watching a kid today, Julian Phillips on Tennessee, a 6'8" wing that could be a 3-and-D guy for us where we're picking. So, you know, I'm always thinking about this team. I'm thinking, I swear to God, I think you and I and George and a few of our brothers, and obviously a lot of the guys, JJ and John Talento and a lot of the Julian and, you know, a lot of the people, Justin, I'm in the SV Nation, we think more of a GM than our own GM of the Knicks.
Facts.
We're thinking about quality players, who's, you know, where their ceilings are, where their floors, you know, are they athletic? The game's changing. It's a wing-based game.
Can they coexist?
So,
on the court?
Yeah, so what's the wing, you know, what are the wings? You know, we have 7 foot wingspan 3 on this team. It's Cam. The only other one is Farron Hunt, and he's playing in Westchester.
Was he even in attendance today? Because I was thinking, I'm like, man, do something. Throw Farron in there if he's available.
Nah, I'm looking at it said he was inactive because he was playing in the G League on the 2-way.
So he got sent out.
And so was Keels.
All right. DeRoss is throwing some shade at RJ. He said RJ is Knox with effort.
Yeah. I don't know, man.
See, JJ says you got to commit to a long-term tank. I don't like to use the word tank though, because I don't really view it. What I want them to do, I don't want them to just say, go out, we're going to just lose all these games or just try to get a high draft pick. If you lose the games, so be it. You still want to be competitive. But I just want these young guys to get more of an opportunity to flourish. You know, you see some of the minutes that these guys are playing. Giddey got 37 minutes. You know what I mean? Like someone that's key to the long-term development of your franchise, you want them to get, 28, 29, 30 minutes. We don't see that from some of the young guys. Cam just started hitting 30 minutes. I mean, we see it from RJ, but RJ's an exception, not necessarily a rule for this squad. Manuel Quickley, he really doesn't see too many, high-minute games. Same thing with Obi Toppin. And I think if this team really wants to be in a position where we can have some long-term success, we got to go through some of the pain, the trials and tribulations of playing a young team and deal with some of those errors and mistakes that are going to occur. But Tom Thibodeau isn't the right coach for that. So from start, the front office made an error in bringing in a guy like Tibbs.
Absolutely. Hey, I see Kaiser Soze, a day one, friend. I think everyone agrees that we are going back to the lottery this season, so it's obvious we need to make sure it's a top 5 pick. We needed a top 5 pick last year, guys.
The thing is, how do we make sure we get in the top 5 pick? Because we say Julius Randle's not great, and he's not great, but I think he's still good enough for us to be serviceable. Same thing with Jalen Brunson, same thing with RJ. I mean, we had a terrible game, but for the most part, I think we'll be a very mediocre team, and mediocre teams end up in the play-in and don't necessarily have top draft picks unless you get lucky and somehow jump from 12 to top 5, which really doesn't happen too often, if ever.
Yeah, and the top 5, number 1 will probably be Victor Wembanyama. Number 2 will be Scoot Henderson. Number 3 will probably be Amon Thompson, but him or Nick Smith out of Arkansas. 4 will probably be, one of those guys. So it'll be Wembanyama, Henderson, Nick Smith, Derek Whitehead, and Amon Thompson. And after that, then you have a bunch of guys that are athletic that can't shoot. Other than Keontae George out of Baylor, I really like that kid's game, man. Really like that kid's game.
Yeah, well, let's see. Silver Surfers will be 12 and 24 by Christmas. I hope not.
Well, I don't mind if we're 12 and 24, but as long as we're 12 and 24 with Johnny Bryant.
If we're 12 and 24 by Christmas, Tibbs has to be 5 by then. There's no way. That's my point.
Yeah. Exactly.
I asked you this question yesterday, Foxy. Imani Bates.
He had a great game yesterday against Michigan. He's playing for Eastern Michigan. But he needs to get stronger. He's just really, really weak. He has a weird release, so he had a hot game yesterday, but I would definitely take him in a second round. He would not be a first-round choice for me.
Yeah. Let's see what else we got going on.
The problem also in this draft, folks, is pardon me, there's a lot of quality players, but they're power forwards. We have already Randle that we can't get rid of, and Obi. So, one of the guys is that I'm thinking of is Derek Lively. Hey, we saw the center out of Duke, that if he's available, Hartenstein, he gives his heart and everything, but he's not a stretch 5. That was advertised. He's terrible on defense. So maybe we were picking in the 15, or he probably won't even be available then. There's a kid out of Alabama, Brandon Miller, that could be maybe the 3-and-D of our dreams, but he'll be gone probably by the time that we want. So there's a lot of guys out there, and Jarace Walker out of Houston, and Gigi Jackson out of South Carolina. They're all 4s, and they're quality, but we don't need a 4 on this team.
Yeah,
unless we get rid of Randle.
Unless we get rid of Randle. But speaking of 4s, we really didn't get into him too much. That's Obi Toppin. So he played 15 minutes. He was 4 or 5 from the field, 2 or 3 from the 3-point line. That's good for 10 points, 2 rebounds, and 3 turnovers. So, Foxy, how did you feel about Obi Toppin's performance in the game today?
I thought he was going to get more burn. He only, like you said, will round it off 15 minutes, 4 for 5, 2 for 3. Hey, his stroke looked smooth, folks. In the game before that, he had this really sweet, off the dribble midi.
That was nice.
Wasn't that sweet? If he has that to the, so I'm like I said to you, you know what? The kid's displaying. If Randle gets upset, send him to his meditation counselor. Put Obi on the first team. If we suck, then really shake things up on this team. It doesn't make a difference, and just give Obi the room to go, grow and more reps. I think he'll get better on defense and stuff like that. But Randle's not the answer. Sorry about that, Sherwin. Don't jump off the roof. Things are going to be all right.
See, but the thing is, you have a coach that's kind of coaching for their job, and I think he feels comfortable or more comfortable with Julius Randle out there on the court than Obi, which to me is kind of nuts, especially seeing how Obi has performed to start the season. So the fact that we're still not seeing Obi, we're still not seeing Tibbs try to find ways to get Obi out there on the court, especially in a game where they didn't have a legitimate center out there to try and attack us if we tried to go small ball. So the fact that in a game like this, Obi's seeing only 15 minutes and he's getting subbed out when he's being a major piece to a run in that fourth quarter, to me, I think was ridiculous. And I know there's been chirping saying that Obi might end up, requesting a trade at some point. But I think you look at a game like this, how could you blame him? If this isn't a situation where he can see some legitimate play time, then I don't know what is.
His game's developing, his 3-point stroke, so I would have him in that corner 3 spot. And we saw it a couple of games ago with RJ that Brunson came down. RJ was in the corner 3 spot. He made a fake and he cut to the basket. And actually, I know for this offense, it's crazy to think that actually have offense in the scheme. But Obi would be perfect in that. If they give him room, he'll shoot the 3. If they get too close, let him explode to the basket, cutting, and for a lob threat. So they're not using Obi right. But his energy is everything that the team needs, and Randle's energy is everything the team doesn't need. So come on, wake up, man.
Listen, Kaiser Soze 718 says, listen, I said we needed to take Bobo and we passed. Bates is going to be the same type of long-term project, but this is the guy that was slated to go number 1. It's worth the risk taking him. Oh, whoopsie. Kaiser,
taking him where? That's the key thing. I have no problem. Also, I think you're onto something. If Denver's selected him, then you got to look at him because they have a really great talent evaluation team. So I'm with you. Bobo is really balling out. I feel badly for the kid. Who's the kid from Harlem?
Manute, not Manute. That's his father.
Help us out here, folks. My old brain.
Mo Bamba, there we go.
Mo Bamba. Thank you.
I had to hum the song, my fault.
So Bobo is eating into that. So, hey, folks, I will throw a name out there because I like lineage. I love guys like Jalen Brunson because his dad was in the league. They understand the professionalism, what it takes to be a player. The name I'll throw out there as a possible kid for us to draft next year is Jet Howard, the 6'7" wing of Juwan Howard on Michigan. He's somebody I definitely, obviously we have a long season ahead of us, but Jet Howard, somebody I'm keeping my eye on. I think he may be available probably where we're going to be picking around. And he's like his dad. He has nasty. This team needs some nasty. He has shot creation capabilities. So if you get a chance to watch a Michigan game this year, folks, check out Jet Howard.
Looks like CAA is infiltrating everything. They've already infiltrated the front office, the locker room, and now they have infiltrated the chat. Salute to CAA Mafia. Appreciate you.
That's my guy.
Thank you for joining.
And Pudge Nice, hey man, hey Pudge, I hope all is well with you and your family.
Thank you for tuning in.
JJ says draft talk is more enjoyable than Nick talk. I already have my book going, man. So I could go over every freaking player already, tell you what I'm looking for them. So I'd love for us to have a discussion because you know what, I would. It's a lot better than talking about hope. I love hope. It gets us to tomorrow, and that's why I love the draft so much because it's hope with these kids. And you watch the game today, it's like you lose hope watching these guys' lack of effort.
Yep, you took the words right out of my mouth, Foxy. Like there's really I'll be going too far saying that there's no hope for this team, but if we continue on this path that we're going, it's hard to really see us being competitive and contending for anything. But at least if you're looking at the draft, you're looking at the future, what could be, and at least you're able to plot a path before the Knicks do something to kind of throw everything down the drain.
Yeah. My guy Ashley, Cam Whitmore, he didn't play yesterday in Villanova's loss to Temple, which was shocking. He's unbelievable. Probably the best hops. My only concern with on Cam Whitmore is that he's 230, 240. I think he's going to grow up to be a 4 more than a 3. Dylan Mitchell is strictly a high flyer, has no jump shot. G.G. Jackson is going to be a 4 or 5, and he plays for South Carolina, had a great game, his first game. He's definitely got game. He's the youngest kid, I think, in the whole NCAA. So, there's a lot of things. But like I said, so many of the guys that we're going to see in the draft, they can't shoot. And that's why last year you had Matherin, you had Ivy after obviously Apollo, and you had Jabari, and then you had Chet, but you had right after you had Shaden Sharp, you had Matherin, you had Keegan Murray is outstanding. So
fantasy too.
Yeah. So he's a quality player. His brother will be available this year, Chris Murray. I just don't know if he has the same speed as his brother, but he may be a 3-and-D selection for us if we keep any of the picks. He's got the size and he has a beautiful stroke. So.
Yeah, I think CAA Mafia said it beautifully in the chat. He says, all we want is a clear vision. Give us a direction. You can't keep Randle and try to develop young guys. Preach, bro.
Preach, bro. But that takes communication. Yeah. And this front office has shown from day one they don't want to let us know anything
at all. They don't give any news conferences. Any conference that they do give out is just usually edited. So if somebody says something, says something by mistake, they can cut it out. We can't really see. We can't really hit. There's no authenticity. I think with some of the content that they provide us when we do ask questions. Everything is, everything is kind of looked through a fine-tooth comb before they, release it to the public. I mean, even when they showed Quentin Grimes in a walking boot, they had to backtrack and try to scrub that from the internet. Like that was something that they had to go and do a cover-up story on. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. See a question from John Talento. Foxy, what do you think of Marcus Sasser? Kid is super fast. Yeah, he came back from an injury that he had last season. He's an excellent scorer, excellent shooter, very good shooter, tough kid. He's tiny. That's the only downside to him. He's tiny, John. So he's not the prototype that we want.
Yeah. JJ says, yep, no direction. We can't continue to be in no man's land. Either go for it or do a slow, full rebound. Yep, right now we're kind of in the middle. And I think that we've seen from countless other teams that that's not really a recipe for success. You have to pick. Are you going to go full on, bring in the high price free agents and try to do that in order to try and win a championship? Even though I'm not saying that's the way to go, but that's one option you could pursue. Or you're going to go the full methodical rebuild and, take the pains and bruises of going out there with a young squad. But at least, the outlook is much better because you can accumulate a lot of, draft picks and young players that have elite talent. And you have more options, more strikes at the opportunity, I guess, if you want to put it like that, to finally bring in or see if you have an elite player. And those guys that don't pan out, you can at least move on from. But at least you're putting yourself in a position to attract elite talent. Us being in the middle of the first round is not going to bring in elite talent in the draft for the most part. And
it happens once in a million years. You're right.
Yep, and us being mediocre isn't going to attract any top tier free agents via trade or in free agency. So pick a route. I would say pick going through the full rebuild and go about it that way, as opposed to trying to, retool on the fly and try to build off that, fourth seed that we got 2 seasons ago, because clearly it's not working.
Yeah. Shout out to Quiet Money. Love you, brother. Hope all is well with you and the family. Wiz says, did you say Anthony Black will go in the top 10? I did not say that, but the thing that'll make it whether he goes in the top 10 or not is his shooting. He's very Josh Giddey like 6'7", great vision on the floor, has really good defensive upside with his wingspan. So he'd be a Tibbs, absolutely a Tibbs type of point guard because of his huge wingspan, great defensive thing, great motor, great vision, but he can't shoot. So if he doesn't go in top 10, it's because he hasn't shown that he can shoot.
Facts. Kaiser Soze 718 says we can't even attract good players until we draft a star. Well, it seems like Donovan Mitchell expected to be here. It seems like he thought that we were going to trade RJ in a boatload of picks, and that kind of fell through.
Yeah.
Shalom, Paris Thugger. Appreciate you tuning in.
Yeah. Hey, Wiz, you're talking about Nikolai Jurczyk. The guy plays no defense. He has a beautiful shoot. He can shoot. He has beautiful shooting mechanics, but no D. I don't want to bring on anybody that can't play D.
CAA Mafia says we don't even know who the boss is. Who is the alpha male in this front office? Facts. Who is the decision maker? I know Leon Rose says he's the one that makes all the decisions. Not makes all the decisions, but he has final say on that. But they brought in a guy like Rosas who has actual experience running a front office. They've got Worldwide West, who's the one doing back channel talks and things like that. So who's the one that's really making all of the key decisions for the Knicks. I understand that they operate with a committee, and as a leader, you should kind of rely on other people that might be more experienced in certain areas. But I can't say with confidence that that Leon Rose is taking in all that information and he's the one that makes final say. I still feel like they're doing it's collaborative. So if it is collaborative, who are we to really point the blame at? You know what I mean? And I think the blame should be put at Leon Rose, and he's the president, so he should be the one that has the final say on all issues. And I'm not sure that's the case.
No, you're right. He wants to treat it like a corporation. We'll treat you like a corporation. We're getting rid of the whole board. So the CEO, the whole board of the directors.
The whole C-suite. Got to go.
Yeah, that's right. The whole C-suite, you're out, bro.
Right.
So,
Splashing 12676 says our front office just that, a front.
Well said.
Let's see what else we got going on before we wrap it up.
Parrish Duggar, Duggar, I just wanted to say he's wonderful. We always love you, Parrish.
Yep, appreciate you tuning in. Love your support for the channel. We really appreciate it. Silver Surfer says, who are we going to attract besides Low Midi Randle? Randle has gotten a bunch of nicknames during his time here. First they called him Beyblade. Now he's Low Midi.
Yeah. Hey, folks, another thing, if we choose to trade a Quickley and feel that, Deuce may not be the answer, check out Cason Wallace on Kentucky, the next coming of Drew Holiday. So if his shot comes around, he won't be available, but he's unbelievable on defense. My only thing, I wish he was more athletic. But he's really good, on defense. So he may be somebody that'll shock us if he's around and that we take a point guard.
That'd be something if we get rid of Emmanuel Quickley for one of his Kentucky brethren.
Yeah, that'd be crazy.
Randle has low IQ, low basketball IQ, I think. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
CAA Mafia.
It's a low IQ because he's a chucker. It's in his DNA, so he's thinking about me first, and me, myself, and I. Those are the first three players in his mind.
It's crazy. If you look at teams around the league, how many of them do you think would allow Julius Randle to play with this kind of laissez-faire, not really benching him when he's doing dumb stuff, or telling him to get the ball out of his hands and move the rock? How many teams really in the NBA would allow this type of performance or this type of play?
Hey, just last year when he did the thumbs down and when Randle went through the bad behavior last year, they should have given him some time off. Get your head together, but you're not going to do this to our fans. You're not going to do this to our team. All they did was create a monster instead of calling him out and teaching him you can't do that shit. But nah, man, he got the contract and he's like, I don't care. I'm going to get paid either way, man. You want me to play? Fine.
And I was hoping that he was going to be on this redemption, the Randle redemption tour. We were able to, rehab his value and ship him out of town. But I just don't see it, because I would assume opposing front offices are looking at the film and they can see the type of effort he's putting out there. Even if you're a team that's contending and you're trying to win something, how are you going to trade for a guy like Julius Randle and put him out there to play that type of defense and expect to win something? So you're really just, making that group of teams that would try and reach out to try to bring him in just smaller and smaller. We were hoping the Suns would be, one of those teams, but what can Julius Randle really give them if he's playing this type of defense?
Or his whole game is not winning basketball. He holds the ball for God knows how long. Once he gets it, impacts everything. So even when he scores a bucket, it's like, yo, man, you just took 10 seconds off that shot clock. And and he has this double hitch now where he gets into the thing and it's like, yo, go up pure with that shot.
Yep. CAA Mafia says, no one, Keith. Randle would be a fourth option on the Magic. Let that sink in. Hey, I'll say Paolo's better than Julius Randle right now. Just give him a little bit more time.
And Jonathan Isaac with one leg.
Oh man, let's see what else we got going on here. JJ says, Jonathan Lento, yeah man, would be nice. Could end up getting 3 top 20 picks. For what? Hopefully we get the Wizards 15th pick. Oh, okay. Some of the conditional first round picks that they're talking about.
Hey folks, we're only 8. We have 92 likes. We're only 8 away from that magic 100. Please do us solid. Hinton Murphy, one of my favorites, said trade Randle to the Suns for Saric and Crowder. Yeah.
I don't know. I might discuss to see if Ayton's available if we're going to trade Randle over there.
Well, we can trade Mitch, I think, starting January 13th.
January? Okay.
So he'll be able to be traded. So we'll see.
Yep.
Mitch can be replaced, man. There's a couple of kids that'll be available. Killer Ware out of Oregon, Derek Lively. There's a couple of nice fives, and you have Flipowski out of Duke. That's a real stretch five. More would probably play four, but at least he can shoot threes. Really shoot threes. Anybody that said Hartenstein could shoot threes, crazy.
Yeah, me personally, I think we kind of saw the absence of Mitch today with the way teams have been able to just get into the paint with relative ease. So I would like to see how we look with Mitchell Robinson. I thought we have that game against the Thunder coming up in about a week or so, right? The next Monday. Yeah. I would like to see if Mitch is healthy and to see what type of difference that'll make, because, it'll give us a little bit of a better idea of his true value, seeing what iHeart does with that starting lineup against the Oklahoma City Thunder and seeing how the team performs with Mitch. Because I think Mitch would definitely help solve some of the issues when it comes to teams getting easy, good looks at the basket in the paint. And hopefully if he's able to help in that department, it would allow the team to be able to get, out there on the perimeter a little bit better to kind of guard some of these threes. But like you said, even when Mitch was in the game, he's still been averaging, 20 open threes a game, which is nuts just to think about.
Yeah, Mitch is great as long as they come into where he is. The problem is with today's NBA, when Mitch goes out to the perimeter, he's not the same player. It's like kryptonite for him.
Yeah, like Rudy. I think.
Hey, one thing I was going to say, the one thing that we could feel good about, folks, is after playing Minnesota this week, that the only front office that's worse than the Knicks is Minnesota. You gave up all of those assets for Rudy Gobert. I know he didn't play the other night, but when you saw the foundation of Minnesota's team with Anthony Popeye Edwards and the rest of them, are you crazy? So that was the only thing that I felt good about, is that I know we have a bad front office, but when I look at Minnesota and what they gave up in today's NBA for Gobert, we got one front office that's even worse than us.
And of course, we were collateral damage because they gave up that crazy trade package and kind of upped the prices up. Yeah, that's crazy. Somebody had mentioned about the number 3 pick. I forgot who mentioned it. Let me see if I can find it.
Number 3,
Client Money. He says, "What's up with our 3rd overall pick in the draft, though?" So I'm guessing that's talking about RJ. How did you feel about his performance? We put the numbers back up.
I don't know. I saw him picking his hair while sitting on the bench on a close up.
He had a pick. He was picking his fro.
No, I think he was like using his fingers.
Oh, okay. I thought he was on the bench with a pick in his hair. I was about to say, oh man.
No, I was just saying, don't eat whatever you're doing, man. And it's like the dude is like, no, don't do it, RJ. So it's like, yo.
Yeah. So going through the stats for RJ, I'm not sure if we mentioned it, but we'll run through it right here to close. He was 2 attempts from the field, 0-2 from the 3-point line, 1 rebound, 1 steal, 2 turnovers, and 4 fouls. He only had 4 points. And he was minus 14 plus minus. So definitely not a great showing by RJ Barrett. He was even benched in the game.
He only played 2 minutes in the second half.
Yep, only played 2 minutes in the second half, which is crazy.
Not in the fourth quarter.
It's kind of crazy to see him get benched like that. I'm not saying it's unwarranted. I'm just saying it's crazy to see him get benched like that. And, Julius Randle continued to be out there. He didn't
double standard. Meaning he got benched. It was a signal that Tibbs was sending to him because he was getting back toward his, he was making bad turnovers and his effort on defense was terrible. Mm-hmm. But then, like you said, but why don't you do that with Julius then, man?
Exactly. And that's why you start to hear a little bit of rumblings about there maybe be some, issues with the Knicks in the locker room and things like that. The fact that Tibbs is not really treating everybody fairly. Not saying you're supposed to treat everybody the same, but you got to treat guys fairly. Julius Randle has done nothing in his years here with the New York Knicks that would warrant him being able to get special treatment. Julius Randle should be treated just like everybody else on this team. We do not have a superstar. We do not have a star. Nobody should be getting star treatment up in here.
Yeah, RJ's played more. Shout out to Digital Madrigal. RJ has played more minutes than God. We've seen enough. Yeah.
Salute to Pudge Nice. It says my favorite Sunday Knicks show. We appreciate that. Thank you. Make sure you tell your friends to pull up. We'll, chop it up and talk Knicks. Hopefully it won't be after a loss.
But the good news, folks, week after week, we'll talk Knicks, but if you want to talk draft, we can talk draft too.
Yep, we'll start bringing that into the show as well. We'll start discussing that a little bit more. Ray Alexander Perry says, we made Randle into the monster he is. We made him a star. Don't blame us. Blame the front office and the coaching staff. They're the ones that did all the dirty work to make this monster that we have putting on number 30 for the New York Knicks.
Yeah, I gotta watch the tape.
Yeah, they gave me a free Randle jersey. I gave that to my mom. I was like, "Hey, Ma, you know what to do with this better than me." I was like, "I don't want no Julius Randle jersey." Thank you to the Knicks for sending it, but nah.
Ace of Spades says, "Hey, Foxy and Keys, you should ask Ian Begley if the Knicks have a locker room issue." We don't need to, Ace.
Yeah, let's see. Make sure you guys tweet Ian, tell him he has to pull up for a Sunday stream here on Sports 5 TV so he can tell us a little bit more, give us some, inside details on what's going on with the locker room, because it does seem like there's some friction. I mean, look at what Jalen Brunson was saying after the win against Detroit, saying we got to stick together and things like that. You already say that when there's some fraction, there's some friction in the locker room, and maybe things are being divided and we're starting to see different factions emerge. So something that we should definitely keep an eye on.
Well, the one thing is, there's not a faction against Brunson. You can see the guys, he's already, and they really like him. Hey, I don't know if folks saw this after the Detroit when they're walking off the court and RJ's in front of Brunson, and Brunson's going to the fans, like pointing at RJ, like he's the man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you see Quickley looking at him lovingly, like that. He's a quality guy. That's a culture guy, Brunson. Randle is anti-culture.
Yep, facts. Silver Surfer says Cam should be on the all-defensive team. I don't know if he'll be that. I don't know if he'll get there.
Too small of a sample size.
Yeah, but he's definitely the best defender on the Knicks right now. I mean, even that, I don't know if that's saying much, especially seeing what we've been doing defensively for the last few games.
But that's why I'm hoping RJ goes, his last 5 games, forget about today. RJ's been tight the last 5 games, folks. So, so I was hoping that the last 5 games, coming in today, he averaged a little over 23 points a game, shooting 49% from the field, 41% from 3, 77% free throws, 5.8. So RJ, he may not, he's not, his game's not sexy, but as long as he's efficient, that's all we're asking.
Facts. Foxy, the way you put that was funny.
Well, just mean it. If Ja Morant, there's not a kid in New York that has RJ Barrett up on their wall. Why would you? If Ja Morant was in New York, everyone and their mother would have Ja all over the place because, he's exciting. Everything about him. Yeah. Everything about RJ is like Sominex. You want to go to sleep.
Yeah, it's pretty textbook for the most part. He's not really explosive like a Ja or some of the other athletes in the
explosive. He's only explosive when he eats Mexican food.
No, that's Evan Fournier when he's eating steak out in San Antonio.
Word. I remember that last year. But RJ, even when he goes right, 3, 2, 1, he's about to go make a spin and go back to his left hand most of the time. So he gets the ball, and that's why he's elite. He can get to his left, but again, he missed some bunnies again today, man.
Yeah, definitely unfortunate. But we start to see him, kind of figure things out before this game. So hopefully this is just something that it's just, one of those games where you have a bad game and he's able to figure it out and rebound.
Absolutely. He came in, like we said, he played really well the last 5 games, but if they have balls, they'd say, we're putting Obi in the starting lineup. I think he's he'll gel better with RJ. Randle's game, the type of game he has in RJ, we can only have one player of that ilk that needs the ball, and for them to make their shot, it's a build-up. Dribble between the legs and go left, or go left, go right, spin and go left. You can only have one player in the team on your lineup like that.
Yeah, I'm kind of shocked that Tibbs was willing to bench RJ the way he did, especially with the way he's been playing recently. Not really give him an opportunity to kind of break through that funk, especially when we weren't getting anything from a guy like Evan Fournier, and didn't force Julius Randle to at least stop doing some of the boneheaded plays he was doing out there. To me, it's crazy. That double standard is wicked.
Yeah, and meaning that's the wrong. I mean, he's a young man, and I have a lot more faith in RJ than I do Randle, man.
Yeah. So Foxy, we'll wrap it up there. We hit 100. Hey, 101 likes. Thank you guys. We really appreciate it.
Really appreciate it. Thank you. And we know this is difficult, so thank you for letting us vent. We appreciate you venting. But like we said, we could talk Knicks. We could talk around the league, things happening in the NBA. We could talk draft. And like I said, I'm working full time now on the draft. So any draft question going forward, let's rip, man, because I love us going through that journey together.
I hear you on that, Foxy. So, SV Nation, thank you guys for tuning in. We really appreciate the support. We got to 100. Now we're at 106 and counting. So you guys really showed out and supported the live stream. We really appreciate it. We'll be back again next Sunday. It'll probably be around the same time, 6:15. Yeah. There's a game.
The game next week is 3:30, so
it might adjust the start time a little bit, but for the most part, we should be right around the normal time. So we look forward to seeing you guys there. We, it's a tough loss. Knicks again lost 145-135 to the Oklahoma City Thunder, and they're about to go on a really tough stretch this next week or so. So we'll see how they perform. Hopefully, they can get back on track, and if not, they start losing. At least we can look forward to the draft. Won't be new for Knicks fans, right?
Yeah, I hate these games because I'm old. 9 o'clock and 10 o'clock starts for an old guy.
Yeah, West Coast games are tough. I'm not going front. West Coast games are definitely tough. All right, so Fox, anything you want to say before we wrap it up?
Just thank you so much for your support. Looking forward to. We'll see you same time next week. Like we said, it's 6:15 or 6-ish, depending on the game, how it rolls. But it'll be a version of recap going over what happened this past week. And as always, you're the third host of this show. Anything you want to talk about.
Yep. Thank you guys once again for tuning in. Hopefully next week, this team will be in a much better position, and who knows, maybe we might even have a new coach. So thank you guys for tuning in. Looking forward to speaking with you again next Sunday. Once again, I'm Keith, host of Sports Vibes TV, joined as always by my co-host and NBA analyst, Stephen Fox, and we're up.
Love you.